Hey man, who are we having on this week?
It's Marin from high school. She's a model now.
Oh, Marin Burraston, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you and I kind of have that in common with her, modeling.
Oh, I thought you meant the last name. How do we have modeling in common with her?
We model our voices to our listeners, and she models her face and body.
I don't think that's how it works. I don't think there's much in common with those two.
You know, she's like a model with, physical model, and we use our vocal cords to model.
Dude, what in the hell are you talking about, man? How about we talk to her first, and then you can decide if they're the same.
Oh yeah, we were having her on. Hello and welcome to the Mike at the Helm podcast. I'm your host, Mike Spencer.
And I'm your host, Arza Helm.
We have a fantastic guest today. She is a model, Marin Burraston. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, good job.
Look at that. Would you like to introduce yourself, Marin?
Of course. So I am a professional model and modeling coach, and I am, just like some things about myself, I am born and raised in Utah, but born and raised atheist, which is pretty rare and something I'm extremely proud of. I definitely use that as a bragging point a lot. So I figured I'd throw it out here on the podcast. But yeah, so I coach a lot of boudoir things, and we can chat more about what the heck that word even means.
Yeah.
But
French.
I specialize
Classy.
in high fashion and editorial, and that's kind of the weirder stuff you're going to see in magazines and stuff. That's the stuff that makes you go, what the hell is that? Or what the hell is that model wearing? That's the stuff I love. So that's kind of my niche. But
oh, like the crazy stuff, where it's one black blanket or something that they wear and they
I
walk
love
through
the
there.
stuff that makes you go what the hell am I looking at?
Have you ever seen Zoolander?
Yes, everyone always brings up that.
Where they're wearing trash and stuff?
Yeah, I've been offered to recreate those looks and stuff.
No way.
Yeah.
You haven't taken that up?
I've just been so busy, but I'm tempted. I really am.
You should do it.
I really
The Derelict collection?
Oh, goodness. Could you imagine? But yeah, the stuff that makes you get really question, to go what the hell is that about? And a lot of times I actually get kind of hurt during shooting because of it, because you put yourself into dangerous situations sometimes with those shoots, snakes around your neck.
I saw that
waterboarding
recently.
Yourself. I've
Wow,
done that. Yeah.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I am also notorious for if the photographer has an idea, it's pretty rare for me to back down. So I've been shooting and there's been bugs and a photographer picked it up and I was put it on my face. It's pretty rare for me to turn down stuff. So I love the weirdo stuff. Going out and shooting in front of a pretty mountain, just with a smile on your face. No, absolutely not. My rates are so high because I don't want to do that.
Whoa.
Where go tie a bunch of aluminum foil around your head and go shoot in some water. That is where I want to be at. So I do kind of the weirdo stuff.
I cannot do anything with bugs. The bravest thing I've ever done was probably let a tarantula walk across my hand. That's about it. It was so spooky when I did it.
I've been trying to do a tarantula shoot so bad. It's in the works right now.
So you've done snakes. What kind of bugs have you done with your shoots?
Nothing very I could tell you the name, just bugs I found on the ground. There was this one shoot I was shooting at the Great Saltaire, just in the water. Gross, I know. And there was a herd of dragonflies and they kept landing on the photographer, so we kept trying to get them, put them on my face, but it didn't work out. But so just bugs, just your day-to-day bugs is the ones.
Bugs.
But I've been really wanting to do stuff with snails and tarantulas and all that kind of stuff, cockroaches. I've seen someone do that before and I was that's cool. So I'm not a very squeamish girl, and the snakes were a dream to shoot with. They were so nice. Yeah, no one got bit or anything. It was really cool.
Right. They're probably trained, right? You didn't find those on the ground.
The first snake I did, let's go pick up this little noodle. Yeah. But the first snake shoot I did, the person who takes care of the snakes, you could tell he wasn't very passionate about what he did because the snakes were just kind of sad. And so after the shoot, I didn't really promote him that much because I'm I'm not going to promote someone that I could tell. He didn't even name the snakes. So the second shoot I did, which was
they were just meat to him.
Yeah, it was so mean, a fucking asshole. But the second snake shoot I did, the photographer I went through, we used a different handler, and he was this sweet little old man. Creature Encounters is his name. I gotta give him a shout out. And he named all of his snakes, and it was such a better experience. The snakes were happy to be there. My favorite one was Dobby. He was such a sweet little noodle.
Cool name for
But it was
snake.
such a better experience, and we got got better photos out of it and stuff. Like, yeah. So the thing with doing those weird shoots is you really got to research who you're going through, because sometimes you can end up supporting like kind of crappy people, and then if you do your research, you end up having a better result from it, like the snakes.
For sure. And that's any industry
Dobby
too.
has my whole heart. Yeah, for sure.
So what got you into modeling? Like how'd you get started?
My favorite question.
Were you just like, I need a Fear Factor type experience every week, or?
I am a very, I'm a very vain person, and I'm comfortable with saying that. And when I was little, whenever my parents would be like, let's take a picture of you, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, cheese, like, ready. And then I was a dancer for like a decade and actually taught dance. And being a dancer, you have to be very aware of what your body looks like. Even though we're performing in front of mirrors or practicing, you still develop a strength of knowing exactly what you look like. And so those two just kind of came together, and being vain, I reached out to a photographer who was doing a model call, and I didn't know anything I was doing at the shoot, but slowly it just translated, and I started incorporating dance into it more, and that's where it really got good. But simply being vain and being a dancer is what got me into it. And some models won't say that they're vain, but you do have to be vain to be a model. You're looking at yourself constantly. So I was just a little vain, little baby Marin vain.
So how old were you when the first shoot happened and all that?
So my first shoot, I was probably 16-year-old, and this is when I just tested it out. I wouldn't say this was like when I full force went into it.
Right.
But I paid this photographer to do some dance shoots at the Great Saltaire, and I loved it. It was so fun. And I just didn't know how the industry worked at the time, so I was happy to pay her, which we love supporting small businesses. Yeah. But she ended up letting me join in on this vintage boutique. And at that time, I looked like very standard Utah Mormon girl, had my blonde hair. So I did this Mormon vintage boutique, and it was like fine, but it was like kind of boring. Like I remember getting home and being like, okay, like that wasn't cool. So I gave up on it, and then I came back a couple years later full force.
Okay, so was it like pioneer stuff, like the shoot?
Kind of,
kind of like the old timey, like, don't smile.
Like
pushing hand carts.
Yeah, like a little Coke bottle. The dresses were awesome. Like the lady who owns the boutique was awesome, but it just like wasn't me. Like little atheist Marin, I was like, I don't really want to be in these like modest clothes, and like, and although that's weird to say, it's fine to say, but I wanted to not be in like these shirts all the way down to my elbows and stuff like that with like a cheesy little smile on my face. So I gave up on it and just focused on being a dance teacher. And then I answered that model call probably like 3 years ago. And Lord, did I suck at that shoot. I literally just stood there and smiled. And that photographer, her name is Christina Captures, incredible. And I am just praying to the God she reaches out to me again, because I'm like, I promise I'm so much better. Like she coached me through that entire thing, and now I can coach myself. But and then after that, I started my own meetup group, and that's what really like pushed me into the industry like big time. Like it swallowed me.
Well, when you say meetup group, what do you mean by that?
So I have this, it's called Salt Lake City Inspired, and basically it's like a networking group. So I pick the location, I do all like the background checks and stuff like that, and it's free for now. I want to be able to pay my team, but it's just for trade, and trade means that no one's getting paid out of the situation. Your like strengths are equaling out. But so yeah, it happens once a month, and you just RSVP for it.
That's
and I post
really
like
cool.
inspo with my team, so you know like what the location's going to be like, and then we all just come together. So when you go, you leave like knowing 15 photographers. So it's an awesome networking
really
place.
Cool.
And I just kind of did it out of the kindness of my heart, because I get a benefit of meeting a bunch of people, and then also like it's a good creative outlet. But once I started that, I got like swallowed into the industry, and I haven't looked back since.
Right. And those girls, can always return the favor later on. Like it's a great thing to start out.
The connections. This industry, you thrive off of like who you know. It's all about the connections. So if I have a meetup group and I'm doing the work of background checking people, if I get like 20 new contacts out of it, that's by far worth it for me. So yeah, that sucks up all my time. That meetup group is truly like my little baby. It's like, so it's my favorite little thing. But we do like anywhere from just like a standard, like let's shoot in front of graffiti. And then my favorites have been Glam in the Junkyard, where we had all the models in these huge ball gowns. And then we shot in an actual junkyard, which I could tell the story about how insane it was to make that happen. And then we did one where it was, I don't know if you saw, but Vogue did this, like for the Met Gala, they did this really awesome, like, I can't remember the theme of it, but they shot in an art museum, and I just recreated that. So like we do all kinds of concepts. So my weirdo brain of wanting to do weird stuff can kind of come out in that meetup group.
Right. No, that sounds like a great creative outlet. Like,
It's really nice.
I mean, I feel like you just mentioned so many things that I think are like super cool. Do you have like a top three favorite shoots that you've done?
Yeah, so Glam in the Junkyard was my top favorite, and I'm also a videographer, so I did some drone work with that, which is so
that's
fun.
really cool.
So I really can talk so much. There's just so many things I love to talk about myself. And then the art museum was definitely a second favorite. And then we did last Halloween, it was just clowns, and trying to like let people be more creative, and that like there's a strict theme, but you can look like however you want. And that one was so cool because everyone was a clown, but everyone looked so different, and it was insane the like outfits people came up with. It was so cool. So those are my top three for sure.
And then do you have like a least favorite
shoot
that you've done?
So the second one. So I used to run it with a girl. Her path has taken her a different way, so now it's me, and it's been like that for a while. But the second meetup we ever did, I actually had to have surgery, and so she was, and right off the bat I've always been like
before the shoot you had to have surgery.
Yeah, so before, and so I wasn't gonna be able to be at the meetup, and so she took over for that time. And even before that, the first meetup, like I was the one running everything. I'm just very like dominant in that sense. So she handled everything, and it like wasn't too good. I actually had and she handled everything. I actually had a male model after the shoot reach out to all the other girl models trying to ask for nudes and stuff like that. So I'm like recovering from this surgery, finding out all this like bad info, trying to like handle it while I'm like drugged up and stuff. So that was probably my least favorite one because that one was so out of my hands.
Yeah.
And then after that shit never happened again. Like that does not fly with me.
For sure.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite one.
Is that like where the background checks come into play?
Yeah, so after that meetup, I was like, we need to have a contract because this isn't cool. Because the industry works on, you got to credit each other. So if I post a photo, I need to make a clear credit that it's the photographer's, and people weren't doing that.
Okay.
So I have a contract that you sign that you're say like you are not gonna freaking be creepy,
right?
And you're gonna credit on all that stuff. And then I background check, and I basically don't allow any old men to come anymore too. They're always problem. But that's where the background checks come in. So I look for, if you're a guy, I'm spending so much longer background checking you because guys are creepy in this industry. It really is.
No, for sure. Like I always had that thought where like if when I have kids, like I want to definitely make sure like, hey, if you ever get lost, make sure you find a mom. Like do not find
a man.
You know, there's so much more prone to violence. It's just like, I mean, it's just it's.
And it's really unfortunate that it is that way, right? Like like the fact that we even think that way is like harmful to, like, I feel like it's harmful to everyone, right? Like it's harmful to men that aren't that way, and it's harmful to women because it makes you distrust a whole half of the population.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. No,
yeah, absolutely. Terrible. Like, for example, like I trust you guys completely. That's why I'm here. But still, like you, as like a girl, you have to do all these safety measures. So like I mentioned to you guys, I sent your guys' info, like every social media handle I could find of you to multiple people and the address. And I was like, here's where I'll be. So like that.
And I actually appreciate that. Like I was impressed by that.
Yeah, when you're like, that's awesome of you. I was like, see, this is why I like you guys.
Yeah.
But you can never be too safe because guys can be scary. They really can.
For sure. Yeah. That's what I told my mom. Like she's been dating around, and I was like, hey, just remember, like, you know, most guys, you know, they're fine, whatever. But you know, when you're dating, make sure you tell like 3 people like where you are and what you're doing, and like, hey, if I don't text you back in 2 hours, like, no, something might be wrong. Maybe give me a call and things like that. Like, it's always better safe than sorry for me. So
yeah, when I coach, typically like if downtown, I hate shooting downtown. I always have issues. But if I'm coaching one of my male or more masculine models, I'll dress like a guy when I go downtown, so I don't look like a very obvious girl in case I do need to walk by myself. I literally dress like a guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a recent shoot where the photographer and the model were both men, and they ended up finding each other, and I was like a block down, and they were like, we will come to you, like stay in your car. And then I was out of my car, and they walked right past me because I was literally dressed like a guy, because they're used to me looking like how I'm dressed today in heels. And yeah, I literally dress like a guy so I don't get freaking kidnapped or anything. Yeah,
my girlfriend Janae, like when she used to go to the U, like she would get catcalled all the time, and she's like had people, you know, like do the brush on the street of you know, your body parts and things like that. Like it's just so like, downtown is so rampant with that. It's nuts. Like
it's scary. I really have. I've had to like full on yell at people as passing by, because a lot of times those creepy people they're expecting the people to respond just being like, oh, thank you, like all shy or whatever. They're not expecting someone to literally holler back at them and bring attention. I've had to do that a couple times because I'm loud. I'm happy to do that.
For sure.
People are scary, and sorry to say that like all guys are scary. Like obviously it's not, but like there's a significant amount. But I've had some girls be creepy too. It's like you always just got to be so safe at this industry.
Yeah, I mean, ours and I have had experience with like being touched unwanted with women like quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a very real thing.
When I was in high school on the debate team.
Oh, I guess we should. Sorry to interrupt. I guess we should now give the like sexual assault warning because we are starting to transition into talking about that.
And we will give one at the beginning of the podcast.
We can always edit it in.
Cool. Sorry to interrupt
but I appreciate that. But I mean, in the debate team, you know, everyone is pretty progressive for the most part on the debate team, and it was a big thing, you know, being really aware of like sexual harassment towards women and inappropriate behavior towards women and stuff like that, because that's overlooked a lot by society.
Right.
But then a lot of the girls on the debate team, me and my debate partner, they would like talk about our butts all the time and like try and touch them, and we'd be like, no, we don't want you to touch our butts, and they're like, oh, come on, just like let us, and they'd like just do it without our permission.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's
and I'm like, do you not see this double standard?
Yeah, like you're fucking hypocrites. Like
for
stop
sure.
touching my butt. Exactly.
Yeah, and I remember like in high school, I would go to, I think the Color Festival is probably, because I feel like with the Color Festival, like you're more anonymous because you're wearing masks and you're wearing sunglasses and stuff. And yeah, people would just, like totally just come up to me and slap my butt or like touch my pants, and it's like, what are you doing right now? Like, I don't know. I just
it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like it just doesn't get talked about a lot, and obviously it's much more in women than it is men.
Yeah,
but,
for sure. But that doesn't mean that you guys are invalid and it happening to you. It's very real. So the background checks I've luckily had after that model asking for like all the nudes, and I chewed his little butt out. I think he's scared of me now. He never came back, never tried.
Well, probably a good thing he didn't come back.
I know. Yeah, I was like, bitch, you're not allowed. But so luckily I haven't had anything happen like that, because it's true. Like men do get abused and like stuff like that just as much as if happens to girls, it also happens to guys. And so I try to keep men just as protected, even though old men are just not allowed. I just don't deal with them. They're annoying. They always are issues. They don't care about rules. They like have an ego. So old men are just banned. But like in general, and there's not a ton of male models either. So that's the other thing, is it's typically going to be just girl models and then a lot of male photographers, but they get their extreme background checks, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, there's been some girls like a few years ago that have been like full on murdered at shoots, stuff like that. It's crazy. Yeah, it was like, I think in Provo. I could be totally wrong. It was a while ago, but I remember like all of the people in the community were posting about it, and I remember I posted, I was like, if you don't have a buddy, I will be that buddy for you. Like, I will come, like, I'm not going to charge you. Like, let's just be safe. Because she met up to do a photo shoot, and then she went missing, and sadly she had been murdered. And like at malls, you'll get like the fake recruiters where they'll be like, I'm an agency or whatever, and typically those are the people that are going to nap you and then kill you. So,
for sure.
It's a very scary industry. I've luckily had nothing bad happen to me, but I do my due diligence, which sucks that I have to.
Yeah.
But I definitely know a lot of friends that it's happened to them. It's really horrible. It's definitely like the dark part of the industry, and you go to New York, it's still going to happen. Like, it's everywhere in this industry. It's definitely a plague for sure. Right.
So for someone who's trying to start out in something like modeling or really anything in the entertainment industry, what are some like red flags that they can tell if they're like looking to do their first shoot or anything like that, where it's like, what would make them uncomfortable with this or things like that? Like, what would be normal and what would be not normal, and you should probably... So a big one that people get caught in, especially in Utah, is agencies. Agencies in Utah's, like there's multiple Utah, in Utah are such a scam. Like, I think there's only like one creditable one, a really nasty one, and you can keep this name in here. I'm very advocate against them, is Urban Talent. So a big red flag. I've actually like had friends that if you breathe the word modeling, they'll message you. They play the numbers game, so they'll message like 50 people a day hoping to get one. But so a red flag is if an agency reaches out to you and they want you to pay all these fees, because if they want to represent you aren't paying anything. They're going to be
basically like spoiling you. Like they're going to pay for you to get those headshots. So if someone reaches out to you and is asking all this money, red flag. But not a lot of people know that, because an agency reaches out to you. It's like, oh my God, I've been seen. But really they're just playing the number game. And it's really sad, because I'll get mentors that'll be like, hey, this agency reached out to me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't mean to take away from you, but this is not what you think it is. So agencies, it's a big red flag. Now if someone reaches out to you, and like if a photographer were to reach out to me and they're like, okay, like make sure you bring a buddy, incredible, green check, like that's awesome. There are some photographers in Utah right now that are super against bringing a buddy, and they will literally say like, well, if I have a rule that you can't bring a buddy, that's going to bring models that are comfortable with that, and I want those models. So basically, like, literally saying they're preying on innocent models that don't know any better. It's scary, it really is. So that's a red flag. A green flag is someone, like, that communicates, goes over all the details. Sometimes it's like, here's a backup location if, like, you get lost or whatever, bring those buddies. But that's a good sign. But the paying a bajillion in fees is the biggest red flag, and sadly people just don't know about it. It's really sad.
Right. So the nudes thing, I'm assuming that's not normal, right? When the photographer's asking, or
yeah,
is there some cases
for sure.
where it might
so
be?
There are some cases where it will make sense for the photographer to be discussing that, because I do have some friends that they strictly just do nude shoots.
Really?
Like that is their thing.
Interesting.
So that's a little bit normal, that if a photographer is like, I want to work with you, like it's very rare for like those photos to be sent, but it does happen if the model is a professional like nude shooter. But typically, like if a photographer asks for like even a selfie of me, I'm like, I'm not shooting with you. Like, look at my portfolio. You know what I mean?
Right. Why would they ask for a selfie? Like, what would be the...
Just being creepy.
Just being creepy? Okay.
Yeah.
Like a mirror selfie or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay.
If they ask for anything like that, or just like extra info about you, like that's a red flag, because like you can get what you need to know off of my portfolio. And I do occasionally get that, they're like, well, just send me a selfie. And I'm like, no. Like, why? You have like quality images on my portfolio.
I want a low quality.
I know.
40-year-old dude in the basement eating cereal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to make sure you're real.
I just want to like, meanwhile, are you freaking real? But I actually have a private portfolio, and that's rare to have in this industry, because normally like you want your stuff out there, and I'm very protective, and that holds myself back in the industry. But I don't get a lot of creepy people, because a creepy old man sitting in his basement eating cereal isn't going to put in the work to request to follow me and wait through that process, which is really nice. But so that helps a little bit.
For sure. How do you know when you like, I just want to say, like, trust a photographer to, I don't know, keep his word on things? Because I know there are models who like to shoot, but they don't want to post nudes, but there are going to be times where they are going to be nude on camera. Like,
so do you mean like
turned around with their shirt off or something like that? Like, how do you know, like, you can really trust a photographer that you wouldn't do things like that?
That happens at shoots a lot, where
Really?
if you sign a model release, it's really horrible. But if you sign that, the photographer has all the rights to the photos, which starting off, they do have the rights to the photos. But if you sign something further, the photographer could literally take a picture of you while you're changing, not part of like the photo shoot, and that's his or hers to own.
Wow.
So, a photographer that gives you your own space to change is what's going to go a long way with me. And then I have my own release form that I have all my photographers sign, that if I work with them, so that I have equal rights in those photos. So if that
that's really cool.
And not a lot of models do that, because like you do have to pay the price for like legal fees to get that done and stuff like that. But it's worth it, because I know friends that that's happened to them, and that stuff has ended up on OnlyFans, and it's legally not their photo, even though they're in it, because that's the like how the laws work with the photography.
Interesting.
So yeah, a good photographer will give you their own space, and they'll make it. I always say that a not creepy photographer will realize that they can easily be perceived as creepy, so they're going to do the things that go the extra mile that are very obvious. So if I'm changing, the photographer will very obviously like set their camera down facing away from me, if that makes sense, if I do have to change in front of them.
Right.
So they'll go that extra mile, and that's how you can kind of learn that trust. And then if they're not willing to sign those stuff, the my model release form, I'm not working with them, because you only have bad intentions if you're not willing to like make sure I feel comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, yeah, definitely does.
I'm such a talker. I really am.
I'm loving it.
Yeah,
I love hearing
great.
all this. So you also seem like you go about stuff in like a very intelligent way.
Oh, thank you.
Like you go about things in a very safe and like smart way. How did you learn these ins and outs? Was it like lessons learned the hard way, or did you have a mentor, or how did this all happen?
So I learned everything on my own, but I learned the lessons the hard way through experiencing it through my friends, if that makes sense. So I've luckily not gone through it, but I listened to what people were telling me, and I took that really to heart. And I've always, just ever since I was little, like, I didn't want to, like, go play with the other kids. I wanted to sit and listen to what the grown-ups are talking about, even though I didn't understand them. So I've always had that level of, like, I guess you could say maturity. And I have the nickname in the industry called Mama Marin because I am...
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I am, like, just... stuff like that doesn't fly with me, and also being as blunt as I am, that also cuts out any miscommunication, which is really nice. So it's hard lessons that I've listened through other people's experiences, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
That's always a smart way to go about things, is just talking to people. Like ours and I, we talked to probably like 10, 20 different people that have, done YouTube or done, some kind of entertainment. Somebody that like worked radio at the U, we asked them about their advice. Like it's, and it's always great to get, different opinions, and like, oh, I didn't like when I started this, and yeah, it's just great to get that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Hearing other people's experience is really helpful. But, and then also Trey, who, for the viewers, is my boyfriend of 10 years, of course, very protective of me. And so he also holds me to a high standard where he trusts me to go on these shoots because I'm doing my due diligence too. So I also have people holding me accountable, like my family. They know where I am at all times. Like we have Life 360. I don't know if you guys know that app. So I have people holding me accountable too, which is really nice. So if I go missing, there's like a herd of people looking for me. And so I have that like respect to hold up, because if they're going to do that for me, I'm going to do what I can do to make sure I'm safe too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this industry is no joke, and it's definitely a privilege to not have had any bad experiences, but there's a lot of work that goes into that, sadly, to make that happen.
Right.
Which is definitely a bummer. It's sad that we do have to do all that stuff, like walking to your car with keys like as like a knife. Like it's sad that we have to do that, but sadly we do. And it kind of goes into the industry.
Yeah, those stories creep me out. Like those guys that like wait underneath cars and they'll slash you.
That was actually a new one like I heard like recently, and I was like, oh my god, I have to worry about that now.
Gosh. I know. Like, so I got it off
slashing the ankles under the car.
Exactly.
Horrifying.
I got it off of a TikTok where this girl like filmed herself, and she was like, how I get into cars now, and she
she jumps off the curb.
Spreads her legs to get in, and I'm like, man, I might start doing that. That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I there's this girl in high school that I went on a date with, and her aunt was divorced, and when her aunt would like go to work, she would pay this girl to come babysit her kids.
Gotcha.
And her aunt had just moved, so she was driving to babysit these kids at this new house, and she got to the house and she knocked on the door, and this guy answered, and she said, hey, it's like, I don't know, it's Samantha here, I don't know her name. And he's like, yeah, she's downstairs, just go down there and she'll be right there. So she goes down, she like walks in and goes downstairs, he shows her the stairs, and he like walks off somewhere. And it's an unfinished basement. And she was like, hey, Samantha, and she's like, this is definitely not the right place. And so then she like sprinted up and out and just like got in her car as fast as she could and left.
Smart.
And turns out she had typed in the wrong address.
And she had just like gone into a literal stranger's thing.
And I'm like, what was that stranger's intentions?
That person had literally just gone with it like that scary. Oh, I have chills. That's tough.
Like, and like it's just like even like, just stuff like that. It doesn't have to even be someone underneath your car. It could literally be typing in someone's address wrong.
It's scary.
And not just that, but like, they have no trail toward them, right? Unless like their location's on or something. Because they're going to be like, she said she was going to this location. Where is she? Like they're going to focus on the guy.
Random
exactly. They're going to totally focus on the guy she was supposed to meet up with, and that guy is like going to be in a ton of trouble, and he doesn't know what's going on.
That's why I really like Life 360. It's an app. It gets abused by parents or people who are too strict with their kids, because it's like where they are at all times. But if you're a grown up, like you can have circles with your friends that you trust. So I have one with Trey. And the location is like scary accurate. Like it tells him when I leave my house and arrive at my house. But I like it because, one, I'm not lying about where I'm going, and then he has that accurate if my phone's on me, which it probably is. And then you can have multiple circles with friends, because sometimes it can be just a tiny little accident and then you end up somewhere else. But on my keys, my friend got me this for Christmas. It's this resin, like wicked sharp, like daggery thing that you can wear, almost like brass knuckles or whatever they're called. But it has like sharps pointing out. So I just naturally hold it like that, because if I'm walking up to like Walmart or something like that, just looking at me, I look like I'm already prepared, which that does a ton.
Right.
But like, sucks that I have to do that.
Yeah.
You ever thought about carrying a gun on you or anything like that?
So I have, but I have my medical card for cannabis, and you have to kind of give up one or the other.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I have my medical card for my...
Because you're a criminal if you have marijuana. That was a joke,
Apparently.
by the way. That was a joke. Anyone listening, that was satire.
So you can't have a concealed carry, but you can still own a gun, I'm assuming, right?
I'm pretty sure you can't. I'm pretty sure
It
you...
really is
I'm
like
pretty,
you have to give up one or the other.
I'm pretty sure you give up your Second Amendment right if you want a medical card.
Yeah.
Really?
At least in
That's
Utah.
not going to be a thing.
It's like
Yeah,
so
it can't be in like
different case to case,
Colorado or like Oregon.
I have no idea, but
right?
in Utah it's a thing.
Yeah.
Wow, I've never even heard of
So I
that.
picked pain management over that. So I just bring Trey whenever I can. So I will have the cannabis card. He will have the gun. Is basically what we had now.
For sure.
But for my meetup group, Trey is actually security for it. So even at the meetup, there is
Big dude with a gun. Yeah, that's a great security guy.
So while like people are shooting, there is someone that's like paying attention to us, yes, but is also aware of like the surroundings. Because when I'm shooting, I don't know what's happening behind me, like around me. I'm trusting in people around me to let me know I'm safe.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is just my gun, I guess.
Right. No, that's the way to go for sure. Like, yeah, I do concealed carry. I don't carry it everywhere I go, but if there's ever a time where I'm like, I know I'm going to be downtown late at night or things like that, like I definitely want to it's just
like you were telling me, or not telling me, but your viewers, about that one story on the podcast with like the fireworks or whatever. Like people are just scary.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
People
yeah.
are scary.
No,
for, like,
yes, and I
reason.
would have shot those people.
I've actually had
maybe
fireworks
not, but.
thrown at me before. Can you believe it? Multiple times. I'm like, what is with people and fireworks throwing these at random people?
It's usually just teenagers that got nothing better to do. Like,
where is all this energy? When I was in high school with you guys, I had no energy. I never went to school. I was just like constantly having surgeries. I'm like, where is this energy? Like, I want that energy to go throw fireworks at random people.
right.
Yeah, I remember... I don't know if this is accurate. I didn't know you very well in high school.
I was so different in high school.
But you seemed very quiet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
So during that time,
I remember that correctly.
You were absolutely accurate. I am so different from high school. Because Trey was living in Texas, so we were doing long distance.
Oh,
I was
man.
Skills of the USA, like presidency, and so I think I said that wrong. I do have a stutter. I was president of the Skills USA, so I was like in charge of the shop classes, and so I was surrounded by guys that I did trust, but there does come like a personality change with that because I was very quiet because I had to be so like stern and on top of that stuff. So, and then on top of all the surgeries I had to have, I was
were you
never
a
in school.
TA for
Lucy? Yeah, I was a TA for Lucero.
Okay,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was always in his shop
Okay.
class.
That's
so yeah,
where
I
I
was very
recognize you
quiet.
from.
I was only
Okay.
like uppity in his class because that was where I was
Okay.
comfortable at. Yeah, I showed up to school, did what I needed to, and go home. Like I didn't have a ton of
Okay.
friends. So yeah, I'm a very different person.
Yeah, I remember talking to you in that class too. Like, me
that
and
was
some
like
of our friends.
that was my throne. I loved it in the
Yeah.
welding class, and I went off to teach welding a little bit, and he let me teach some classes here and there. But yeah, welding was my everything in high school. And
That's
so
cool.
if like you weren't in the shop classes, I probably didn't talk to you.
Yeah.
But then, of course, like that was the beginning of all my health stuff, and so I was just kind of a miserable little person. Just I would come to weld and then go home, basically.
Right.
But kind of a random funny story that you guys might have heard of is something I was known in high school. But Janae, when I was younger, introduced me to jicama, and if she listens to this, she might just freaking die
jicama's
because
so
we
good.
have a funny story about that. And if you don't know what jicama is, it's like looks like a potato. And so I was sitting in Lucero's chair, being his little TA, and I was having my little snack, and it looked like I was eating a raw potato, and I was munching down on that thing, and I got so much crap for it. And like in the shop classes, everyone knew what I was doing because then he literally in the middle of class was like, "What the hell are you eating?" And so we explained it. But then that got passed around the school that I was that bitch that ate raw potatoes.
I haven't heard of that. No.
Oh, thank God.
I never heard of that either.
Yeah, I remember like someone in my yearbook wrote like potato girl or whatever. And I was
Potato
like, what
girl.
the hell?
It's like a mix of a potato and an apple.
Yeah,
Those things
it's
are
like-
magical.
They're so good. So with Janae, I used to, when we were really, really little, like little kids, because she was my neighbor, we would like play all the time, and at her house she had this drawer of jicama, and I didn't know what jicama was until I was friends with her, and I became obsessed. Like every time she was at school, I'm like, do you have jicama for me? Like,
Do you still eat it?
oh yeah.
Really? Oh, I've never
Gladly.
even seen Janae eat jicama.
Oh my gosh. Next time she's around, I'll have to be like, do you remember my thing with jicama? I'm sure I annoyed the absolute crap out of her. She's probably like, no, I don't have fucking jicama for you, dude. Right. Yeah, so Janae, your girlfriend, is literally the person why I like jicama so much.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I think I've had it once, so she didn't recruit me like she did you.
Oh, damn. Yeah, it looks like you're eating a straight potato. But speaking of high school, should we tell our story about your knee?
I mean, sure, yeah. I don't have great knees because of it, but would you like to tell it from your point of view?
Hell yeah.
Wait, were you guys in the same dance group at that time? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was right there with him. So, to set the tone for the viewers, it's our school dance, and it was like a smaller one because we're literally in our cafeteria. Like, it's not bougie by any means. Like, so it was like a Christmas one. We were in pajamas. So I was in my tiger onesie with my friend, and she was in her zebra onesie, and we're all dancing, dropping it like it's hot, and I remember bouncing up and down. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Bouncing it up it's like dropping it like it's hot, popping it up like it's hot, and we see you drop, and we are waiting for him to come back up, and he just doesn't, and we're thinking, sick dance move, like he is taking it to the ground, and we're like, okay, it's come up, what are you doing? And he doesn't, and then you point to your knee, and then we all look at the knee and just see it like it's incorrect.
Yeah.
And so then we all realize, things are not okay right now. And you were so calm. I literally remember you being like, my knee. I would have just started screaming. But yeah, and then I can't remember what we did. We got you away from the dance floor, and I think we were like, we need to call an ambulance. And you're like, no, that's expensive. I'm gonna have my mom come pick me up and take me to the ER. So we got you, I think, into a little wheelie desk chair.
It was a wheelchair. They had a full-on wheelchair there.
They?
Yeah, the vice principals came out and they just picked me up.
I remember seeing you getting wheeled out.
Yeah, and I don't know. It wasn't painful at the time. It was painful when I got to the urgent care. But yeah, I remember them wheeling me out, and I'm just still dancing on my way out.
Party never stops with Mike.
To see you drop it like it's hot, dislocate your knee, and then casually go to the emergency room.
Yeah,
baller.
And that was the first time that's happened. I mean, it hasn't happened to me probably in maybe 2 years, but
did it happen again?
No, it's happened multiple times. So it didn't happen for a while, and then next year in high school, I was throwing a football and it dislocated because you kind of shift your weight to your other leg. Yeah. And so I turned it the exact same thing happened again. My gym teacher's yelling at me and I'm like, I can't stand up. And he's like, I see what's going on. Okay.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
it's get up, maggot.
The previous sergeant.
He's like, I'm so sorry, sir. I literally cannot. I do apologize. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite high school memories is my pal dropping it like it's hot.
For sure.
And not coming up because he dislocated his goddamn knee.
Yeah, and I even remember you didn't know this at the time, but my friends were just making fun of me, and they were like, look at this dweeb, and I don't think you realized they were my friends at the time, and you're like, he broke his leg.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you were protecting
little Mama Marin was coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Mama Marin was coming out. You can't do that to him. And I was like, no, don't worry.
You're calm down. Those are literally my pals.
I was like, who's gonna? I don't think anybody's gonna make fun of me after I broke my leg. Look at this dweeb. What the heck?
That's like in those coming of age high school movies,
right?
Where people are just ruthless, making fun of people for breaking their legs.
Yeah, there's some crazy of those high school, and I don't know how bad it is at other high schools. I felt like ours there was bullying, but there wasn't too much. But I remember seeing movies of there was one, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they pulled this curtain over this girl that was giving a speech, and just pig blood poured all over her. And I was like,
Carrie?
I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I think it's a horror movie.
And then she killed everyone. That's a weird. And then she went home and her mom tried to kill her. Yeah, and she killed her mom.
I definitely thought high school was gonna be way worse because of movies and stuff like that. Yeah, she did go and kill everyone.
That was a weird movie. I only saw the end actually. Right. That pig blood scene.
I definitely thought middle school was what was so much harder. I feel like all the movies and stuff of people getting shoved in lockers, that was freaking middle school. Yeah, everyone was just druggies. Middle school, high school, granted, I literally just showed up, did my thing, and go home. Right. But I feel middle school was way more movie-esque. I don't know if that was you guys.
Yeah, I think people just grew up in high school. I seriously had probably witnessed bullying maybe once or twice, and I was always one to just shut it right down. And I'm sure there was stuff going on behind the scenes and things like that. I've heard of people coming out that I knew in high school, and they're I was pretty much cyberbullied relentlessly and things like that.
That was good.
No, you go.
I was gonna say I think a lot of it is cyberbullying because now with this whole zero tolerance thing, people just get suspended really fast for bullying at school. Mm-hmm. But I know while I was in high school, Harriman, which is a high school close to where we grew up, was somehow they determined that it was the worst high school in the nation for cyberbullying.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, like it was like most common at Harriman. So I don't know if like Utah people just didn't want to do it face to face because
pussies.
Yeah, it would like ruin their name too much or something. But like cyberbullying is really bad in Salt Lake Valley, I guess.
It's
right.
So
but what's crazy is like it's so much easier to track it back to you, right? Because like if it's in high school, they're like, oh yeah, this kid told us you were bullying him, and you're like, no, I didn't, and that's it.
Well, and unless if you like make a fake
secret
profile.
Account. Okay,
yeah,
I
I had a close friend where she was constantly cyberbullied, and they would just make up like fake accounts and like make up rumors about her, or like find pictures from like her Facebook and like make fun of them or stuff like that. Like
I still experience that with
really.
modeling. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, being so so popular. And, like,
cyberbullying is no fucking joke. It's horrible. My friend just recently, someone made a fake OnlyFans account with him with the boudoir photos he had posted.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like literally people are evil, but
right. I hear you have to have really thick skin to be a model in general. Like I know a couple other people who are trying to get in that model thing, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, can we do a shoot?" And they would just respond like, "No, you're ugly." And it was like, "Oh okay."
Ooh,
like
damn.
That's
like
brutal.
I hear like you get told like people get told that a lot when they're models. It's just like, "Oh, I don't think you're attractive enough for the shoot," and that's like basically it. And they don't say anything after that.
You really do have to have a tough skin. I luckily haven't had too many people just like flat out call me ugly. Again, like I do have a private account, so those people who are going to act like that probably don't have the amount of energy to go through the process to even get into the chance to message me. Right. But yeah, I get people that send nasty stuff. I've even had to the point like of people being nasty where like they had me come and get my hair and makeup done, and they like specifically tried like to hurt me and like fuck up my hair and stuff like that. Like the industry, there are bullies for sure. Just mean girl energy. But yeah, there's you either get cyberbullied or you get like the ballsy people. But I get messages fairly often that are like pretty rude, but my Instagram's set up now where it'll like register, and so I don't even have to see them now, which is really nice. But yeah, it's no joke. But you do have to have a like thick skin, because you could literally be shooting and the photographer can be like, that looks weird, you need to change it up. And that's just part of the industry. So you need to have tough skin to realize that it's not coming from a rude place. That just is how it is.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I'd rather someone say like, no, that looks weird. Like we need a different weird than like getting the photos back and being like, oh yeah, so that was a little funky.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you have to have thick skin. You have to be comfortable with being rejected. You have to be comfortable with reaching out and stuff like that. Thick skin is part of it.
Is there a lot of toxicity with like other models and?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. So whenever I go to a shoot, and chances are I'm hosting my own shoot because I would just rather get it done and be the one in charge. So whenever I'm at my shoot, the people I invite are aware that this is going to be a good time. Like we're all going to be friends. Like there's no cattiness. So, but when I go to another shoot that someone else is hosting, it's almost guaranteed there is going to be a clique. There's going to be people rude. There are the really awesome people that cheer you on, and like that's so awesome. And I try to do that for people. But there are the people that will stand there, take secret pictures of you, like bully you, and it all comes from a place from jealousy. And once you kind of realize that, you can kind of be like, well, that person is just, sorry, get better soon with your jealousy.
Right.
But yeah, there are mean people in this industry, and sadly, there are photographers that will work with those kind of people, so they don't get taught. Whereas the people I surround myself with, they're not going to put up with that kind of energy. So I try to like always have a good environment at my shoots, because that sucks to like know that someone's literally like standing across from you talking shit. That's such an awful feeling. Or knowing that person's probably going to attack you online after, such a horrible feeling.
Right.
It's very real in the industry.
So you're kind of able to control for that through like who you decide to network with? Okay.
Exactly. That's why I like to do my own shoots and host them, because I have control of who's bringing in, and then I'm very comfortable with kicking someone out in the middle of the shoot. Like they could be mid photo and I'd be like, get the hell out of my shoot. So I have that control, so I don't experience it a lot. And then being comfortable with planning and freelancing and all that stuff, it allows me to be able to do really cool concepts on my own accord, instead of waiting around for someone to plan it and then probably being with people that suck. It's nice being able to plan your stuff. It's a skill for sure.
Do you get a lot of models or photographers that can tend to like take themselves way too seriously?
Oh, what do you mean?
Like where like they're not big time but they act big or things like that.
Ego, yeah. God, yeah. So there's actually this weird style of editing, and I can't really describe it but it's only like a vibe I get. But every time I see this style, that person has a horrible ego. And like, if they have that style, I'm not going to let them at my shoe. It's like this very distinct and arguably very talented, but that style has an ego with it. And old men in the industry have the weirdest ego. Like, they have the audacity that they have is horrible.
Do you have an example with like an old man?
I do. So it was at the junkyard meetup, and when I start out, I go over all the rules. So there is no way for someone to be like, oh, I didn't know that rule, because you sign it, you read it, and then you verbally are told it. So I'm going over the rules, and that also gives a chance for people to arrive late in case. And so I'm going over the rules. I'm going over literally how to be safe at this junkyard. Like, that's a dangerous location. And this old man, we're literally in a group. Old man just like looks at me and literally does the whole thing where he just like starts like staring up at the sky and just like wanders away. And the whole group is like, is he with us? And I was like, yeah, like the audacity, and just wandered away. And then the whole shoot, he ended up being like kind of weird, but couldn't even care to listen to my rules, like, even though I did all the planning and stuff. So they just have this weird ego. And then of course, if you ask for advice, they'll be like, well, you should take a class, instead of like other people our age will be like, oh, let me teach you. Like, it's such an ego. Like, I love people that are willing to teach each other instead of being like, you should take a class. It's like,
help
you're
each
right
other
here,
out.
show me what button to click. Like, my God.
Right.
Yeah, ego. Ugh.
I always feel like it doesn't really matter what job, industry you're in. Like, you're just going to find people that take themselves and like what they do way too seriously. Like, so it was actually this week, I delivered a pizza to this company, and just going in, I automatically knew it was one of those companies that kind of can tend to copy.
What's the name?
No. they can copy, like, they try to copy Google, or like some of those like really like, oh, we care about employees here, free massages for everyone, or like, and so they had art all over the walls, funky looking art, and they had like different colored walls, and the company name was kind of weird to me, and so but they always tip a lot, and so I kind of just went up there and I was like, hey, like, I was just curious, like, what do you guys do here at this at the company? And I feel like that's like a kind of a small talk thing, right? Like, that's not like an intense interrogation what I just said. Like, oh, what do you guys do here? That's not that crazy. And so all of them were kind of silent for like 3 seconds, and then there was this one.
That's the worst.
Exactly. And then there was this one like just 25-year-old, like, it's your typical like IT guy who went to a slightly nice college who thinks he's the shit, you know. And he's just like, you know, it's kind of confidential. And I was like,
you're like, dude, you're not that cool.
No,
like,
he didn't say confidential. He said classified. That's what it was.
God.
He said it was classified. And I was like, yeah, there's no chance this is classified. This is like a public business. Like I could see, like, if I was like, hey, who's your top account? Like, that's classified. Yeah, I could see you answering that. But I was like,
you're literally just like, what do you do here? Like, what is the company? Like, you'd think that they'd want to get their name out.
Exactly.
Like, we're this, we do this, but it's classified. Dude, like, you're not that cool. I promise you, it's not that classified.
Seriously. And after he said that, like, so many sarcastic responses just scanned all over my head. Like, I had 13 ready to go, and I'm like, all right, no big deal.
Like,
but it's like,
here.
exactly. It's like, what are you guys, a front? What are you guys like? What, I hate those kinds of people.
Sorry, you go ahead.
So when I was in Taiwan, I kind of had a similar experience. There was me and like all the missionaries. We decided to go to dinner one night at it was like a Mexican restaurant, and there's not much Mexican food there in Taiwan, so we were super excited that we found this place. And we went, and there was another American there, which is pretty unusual. And we're like, oh, like, where do you work? Where are you from? He's like, from Texas, and he's working at like the equivalent of an embassy in Taiwan, because they can't have a real embassy, otherwise China will throw a fit.
But it's an embassy.
But it's an embassy. And he's like, oh, I work there. And we're like, oh, what do you do there? And he just like gets a big grin on his face, and he's like, that's classified.
Oh my God.
One of the missionaries we were with, he is in the military. He has like top secret clearance for his job.
He has classified it.
And he like actually works with classified stuff. And he is like, yeah, there's zero chance what he does is like that important, because otherwise he would not tell you. Like,
the thing
exactly.
is, like, if you actually have classified, you're not going to bring up the fact that it's classified. You're going to change the subject.
You'd say like, oh, I'm a janitor. I clean the toilets.
If it's classified, you're not going to bring attention to it.
Exactly. Would you be like, oh yeah, I do like loans out here. I own a small business. Like, what do you like? You would say literally anything but the fact that it's classified.
It's classified. Small dick energy. Small dick energy.
Just imagine that like crooked smile on his face, like, it's classified. just like that other guy I saw at that other place. Like,
I get people like that though. That photographers who don't edit their photos, which you have to edit your photos. You can be the best, but editing's half of it. And they'll literally be like, I don't edit my photos, and they think they're like the shit, and everyone else is like, that's not good.
Sounds like you're amazing. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's the same energy of like, that's classified, or I don't edit. Like,
I don't.
Okay, dude, like, go you. Like, so happy for you.
For sure. So you were mentioning health problems in your
earlier.
I was curious if you wanted to mention anything about that, or.
I would love to talk about it. So it's called myofascial pelvic pain syndrome, and
never heard of that.
Yeah, it's kind of rare for.
Does that get tiring to say ever?
Huh?
Does that get tiring to say?
I couldn't even repeat it back right now.
Yeah, I'm good at saying it, but the first time I was told what it was, I was like, what the fuck?
Like, myoclassiophobic respiration.
But so only 2 doctors actually treat it in Utah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not very common. To basically sum it up, is my uterus is problematic and is trying to just kill me. So it creates muscles and nerves around it that are damaged, and they're called trigger points. So I've been in treating that for about 3.5 years now. And basically, it leaves me, like, in constant pain. It's horrible. Can't have kids because of it, which is okay. I don't want them. I hate them.
Hey, I was once a kid.
Huh?
I was once a kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He was a great kid. What are you trying to say about him?
A fantastic child. But, yeah, so I've been doing treatment for 3+ years. When I first started going, I was going every 3 weeks, and now I'm luckily at 10 weeks apart, which is awesome. But my uterus creates those problematic areas, and I have to go in and get a chemical injected into those spots that dissolves the muscles and nerves.
Oh, wow.
And it's as painful as it sounds.
Right.
Sadly, I can't be put under anesthesia because I actually have to communicate where those points are. So, and then they inject the chemical, and the way I communicate that is my muscle either twitches or I either scream. And I wish I was exaggerating, but sadly that is the part of it. Treatment, it's horrible. It really is. So I do have PTSD associated with needles now because of it. And yeah, it's not fun. It's going pretty good so far. Like I said, I'm pushing further and further apart, and the goal is to get injections further and further apart. And so with modeling, there are chunks of time that I can't shoot. I can't work in the cold because it will give me trigger points.
Really? Okay.
If someone were to hit my abdomen, it'll give me trigger points. So if I got in a car crash with my seatbelt, I'm so screwed. So there's chunks of times that I take off for modeling, and that's why I like not going through an agency, is because I can plan and I don't have to explain to anyone. I can just be like, I'm not shooting right now. But yeah, it's very bonkers. It's extremely painful, and I do anywhere from 7 to 11 injections. And then I can't walk really for a week after. I have to be helped up and off the couch, and yeah. So I basically always have a heating pad on me. I've actually burned my abdomen skin because I have a heating pad on me at all times. So it's a really weird thing that I have, but.
So why haven't they gone for removing your uterus completely? That's a surgery, right?
Oh my gosh, I want it out of me so bad.
Is that what a hysterectomy is?
Yeah, a hysterectomy. So there's a partial hysterectomy where they leave the ovaries, and then a total hysterectomy, which will put you into menopause, which I've actually gone through menopause already. I'm not currently in it. I just experienced it for a year, but that was just a weird treatment I did. Yeah, it's super weird. When I had endometriosis, which I am doing medicine to prevent it still, and that's just basically on your uterus, the skin and tissue, whatever is just damaged. It's very common. 1 in 3 women have it, or I should say 1 in 3 uterus owners have it, because we're trans friendly here. Right. But so I do have that, and then I forgot where I was going, but basically, so I have that. I take medicine to prevent that, and then I also have this on top of it. So there's a lot going on.
So ovaries provide your
hysterectomy. So yeah, ovaries provide the chemical that doesn't put you into menopause. So I did injections that are not like the injections I was just referencing to put me into chemical menopause to prevent endometriosis, because endometriosis thrives off of a chemical that is produced when you have your period and stuff like that. So I did that. It didn't work. I was just actually getting worse with myofascial because we didn't know what it was. And my OB/GYN at the time, thankfully, he was finally I don't know how to treat you. I need to send you to someone special that does that. And thank goodness he did, because some doctors will just don't have that ground. They don't feel comfortable I don't know how to treat you.
Yeah, they're too prideful.
So he did that. But the reason I don't have a hysterectomy is Utah is horrible with that. They are pro having a bajillion children because this place is so ran by the LDS Church.
Yep.
So it's really hard to get it removed. So if I were to, I'd probably just do a partial, just because I won't go into menopause. But so we've been thinking about doing it for a while, and then as of like the past 6 months, my parents were always like, well, hang on, you might change your mind down the line, you might want kids. And then recently they were like, okay, we need to get this out of you. I can't go to college because I take so much time off for like just being drugged up and recovering.
Right.
So my parents are finally like, okay, like we need to get this out of you. You're miserable. So we're going to get that process started. I've already said that I don't want to do it in a pandemic because I don't want to spend the amount of time recovering and then doubled because of trigger points without my friends around. So that's the process we're going, and we're prepared to doctor shop and go to like Oregon and Colorado to get it done. But it's hard. They don't even look at you until you're like 26 or have kids or have a husband to be like, yeah, okay, she can do it, which is fucked that you really do need a husband to sign off on it.
For sure.
It's horrible, but it's just Utah. If I had my way, that thing would have been out of me like 2 years ago.
Right.
Sure.
And you can always freeze your eggs, right? Like that's still an option.
And I have a sister who wants a litter, so like if I do want a kid down the line, she could be my surrogate. But luckily Trey doesn't want kids just as much as I do, so luckily I'm with someone that has the same like life goals like with that sense, because that could be really problematic, someone wanting kids, which is so valid, with someone who can't do that. But a kind of interesting thing that is if Trump did become president again, is he is very pro-life or whatever, and if I were to have a kid, the baby could potentially survive, right? Would I make it? Probably not, but the baby could potentially survive, and that's what they care about. So if Trump did become president, he was talking about putting in like laws and stuff like that that would make getting abortion harder and stuff like that. So thank goodness he didn't become president, because that would be a very scary time, because if I were to get pregnant, I wouldn't
like
have
a death
that option.
sentence for you.
Exactly. So my family's very pro-choice, because if I get pregnant, I do have to get an abortion, because or it's like me or the baby. You know what I mean?
Has there been bills trying to pass where it was like where you, even if you have a chance of dying, like you cannot get an abortion? Like, has there been things that have passed like that?
It's crazy. So they're still trying to like pass stuff. Luckily, Biden realizes how insane that is. So he's putting some blocks on that. But yeah, there definitely are some states trying to like completely ban abortion. It doesn't matter if it'll kill the person or not. It's crazy. It's a like really intense thing to deal with. So luckily, he didn't become president. Sorry if that's not your views, but those are mine. Because yeah, it'd be a very scary time. So I actually take 2 different forms of birth control to not become pregnant because it's so scary. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of my bonkers illness. It's definitely not fun, but we're working through it. And that's the nice thing with my meetups, me being in charge, is I can plan it around my injections and whatnot. And Trey's incredible. He always comes with me. He like holds my hand and then like helps me up and down and stuff like that. And I'm sure it's probably a little traumatizing to him as well, watching me go through that. So luckily I have him and my parents to help me through it, because it's fucking horrible. It's weird.
Right. It's probably really scary too, you know,
it's
like
so
watching
scary.
somebody you love go through that.
Yeah. The first time, because when I first went to meet him, the doctor, he was like, okay, like this is what we're gonna do, but he's not gonna be like, okay, we're gonna jab you with a needle and it's gonna be literally traumatizing. They're like, we're gonna give you injections, maybe bring someone to drive. So we didn't really know what we were getting into.
Yeah, imagine if you didn't bring someone to drive.
Yeah, I would.
God.
Oh my gosh,
Stuck there for a week.
Literally, I would like someone come get me. But so yeah, the first injections, yeah, my whole family cried, and then of course like I didn't know what was happening. So then it was really, really hard. And we've gotten really better about what helps me recover, which is not moving after, just letting myself do what I need to. When I used to teach dance, actually, I had a really horrible boss. And they wouldn't give me the time off, and I didn't know any better, so I'd go and teach dance like 3 days after, and I would like go to the restroom and be sick because I was in so much pain, and I didn't know, and so I wasn't doing good in treatment, and we didn't realize it was because I wasn't letting myself like literally letting those muscles dissolve. So luckily we're good at it now. Like I always get Starbucks and Arctic Circle. That's like my go-to. So
that sounds great right now.
Yeah, it's a solid choice. So we have like a routine down, but yeah, I just remember like after my first injection, when I came home, we didn't really like know what to do with me. We were like, okay, let's lay you into bed, because then I like stretching out is so painful. So in a recliner, I can be kind of like in like a little like a bean shape. But yeah, I just remember like catching my mom just like crying because she like couldn't handle that her little baby just went through this. So it's thankfully rare, because having more people go through this is really hard. But what sucks even more is I'm a sensitive case, is what they call. So some girls can get a couple syringes done and walk right out of there and they're fine. Whereas there's some girls like me who can get like 1 syringe and then be down for a week. I graduated to 2 syringes last injections, so I'm doing really good. I know. He's like, let's bring in another syringe, and I was like, bring in another what? Like, no, thank you.
But, I bet.
Yeah, so those are not fun, and I can get them anywhere from like up into my abs to like down lower. So like, I've had trigger points like where my bra line sits. Like it's all the muscles in my abdomen.
Right.
So lots of physical therapy. I'm not allowed to work out. Well, at least as of now, I've been working out, but I wasn't allowed to work out without someone watching me because I could give myself trigger points by doing like a little crunch. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So I think you already said this, but how often do you have to get those syringes and stuff in?
So when I first started, I was going every 3 weeks, which is crazy to think about because there is a solid week of recovery. And I slowly pushed to 10 weeks now. So it's supposed to be like further and further. And so like maybe every year I go. But now I'm just at 10 weeks. And so I'm starting to think about going to college because for a while they were like, you're literally going to fail. Like you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
Because while you're drugged up, you can't do homework.
Do they have programs for like sick college kids and things like that?
Yeah, you can.
They must, but we kind of gave up. We were like, let's just focus on treatment. But now we're looking back into it. So there's got to be.
So I've been to 3 different universities, and each one there's what's it called? It's like basically adjustments that are made based on like individual circumstances. Like if someone has like ADHD, then when they go take tests, they'll like be completely alone. There'll be no one else in the room except a proctor, so they make sure it's quiet for them and there's few distractions. Or like I had a friend who he had really bad depression and all of his, like, it's the university mandates it, so the professor doesn't have a say in it. So it's like this student can turn in their assignments like whenever they want.
Oh,
wow!
I'm so glad they have programs like that. Maybe I need to look into it more.
I know universities are usually very accommodating for
that's good.
different
Maybe I just need
illnesses
to like
or
push
issues.
a little bit more.
But you do have to like go to I can't remember right now. But there's offices at every university that's in charge of that, and you just go like talk to them, give them your diagnosis, and they'll find a way to work with you.
That's good to know. So probably was just talking to the wrong people because like the board or whoever we were talking to was literally years ago. I can't remember the name. They literally were like, "Yeah, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like just wait a couple years." So maybe I'm not talking to the right people.
I didn't know about it until this friend.
I had no idea they treated not treated, but I didn't know they even helped with depression and ADHD because usually like. I mean, tons of companies don't take any of that kind of stuff seriously. I'm surprised that the universities are like doing that.
Yeah, no, they're really good at it, and it's really cool. And there's a huge range of stuff they can do. And to a certain extent, it's just like bureaucracy. It's like one person making a decision, like, oh, I think this would be an appropriate change for you. Right. But at least at BYU, and I was at University or Indiana University, and for a summer, and both of them were like really good at
that's good.
Giving. I can't remember the word, but
that makes me happy that there is like that. Like I'm gonna have to look into that a little more. That's like very hopeful.
Yeah.
It's like watching your like I have younger friends that have already started college, and I'm like, oh my god, I am such a bum. So I've like really gone full force into modeling because I can do that right now with. Certain adjustments because I definitely have a tendency to push myself way too far at shoots. So Trey's a really good grounder where he'll be like, you're gonna hurt after the shoot, like let's maybe not do that pose, like all that stuff. So I have a really bad tendency of hurting myself. So modeling helps to work around that schedule, but I also need to learn how to like sit the fuck down sometimes.
It's hard, and especially in our culture of just like grind.
Yeah.
Hustle, side hustle, third hustle, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's hard to remember to take care of yourself.
For sure. I've definitely been around people that they accidentally bump me and I have to go home. Like it's like that insensitive. So I also have to surround myself with people that respect that I'm fragile. Like I can do really cool poses and stuff, but like be gentle around me. And so that's another thing is why I host my own shoots is because the people I bring in, they're not going to run up and hug me. They're going to like, know you, they're going to wait for me.
I didn't even realize that you were that fragile. Yeah. Cause I gave you a hug today. And,
I like to initiate it too because
too hard.
I'm pretty good about initiating that stuff so that it is like my play. There's a lot of like little things that I do, but I've definitely been at shoots where I've gotten really hurt before.
Wow.
there was one time where I had just a problem with my uterus, and I was in the ER like pretty late, and it was the junkyard meetup like hours later, and I was like, I have to go to this. Like, so I gotten out of the hospital 3 hours prior or something like that, took a quick nap and went, and the whole time Trey was like, just cancel it. And I'm like, I can't. And then I paid the price after, but yeah, so we really do have so much pressure to just grind all the time. Yeah. And I need to like schedule myself to sit the heck down. Like I have really bad anxiety, and it shows up in the point where if I have a free day, I'm going to book something, and it's really bad. It's nice because I get so much stuff done, but it comes from a place of I'm going to burn myself out, or I'm going to give myself trigger points. But yeah, so it's a very weird thing.
So how has like your modeling and just for modeling in general, like how has it changed during the pandemic?
Oh my gosh. So if you are someone that wears your mask and you're safe, I haven't gotten COVID. And I've been very smart about who I do and like work with and stuff like that. But there are liars in this industry. They will tell you they're safe. They test negative just to get you to shoot with them, and they will literally have it.
Right.
Yeah. So I actually caught this photographer. I canceled a shoot with this person, and I was like, you told me you were wearing a mask, but I just saw you at a shoot with 20 people in a small little studio, not a mask in sight. And I do know someone at that place had COVID. So that's been an interesting thing is you get lied to in this industry during COVID. So for a while, I wasn't shooting out of respect for my parents. I do live with them. And so I'm not going to put them in a difficult situation where I could potentially expose them. And same with Trey. So for a while, I wasn't shooting, was really boring, and I had such FOMO. I missed like 50 trends. But so people who were safe, like they didn't get it, but then there were people that didn't care, got it, gave it to a bunch of people, and then continued on their merry way just for some photos, and no photo is worth that much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't shoot for a while, and then it was winter time, so then I always take the winter times off for my stuff. So there was a good like 7 months that I just like didn't shoot. Luckily I have a lot of content, so I just kept posting, and you didn't see too much of a hiccup, which is really nice, but I didn't shoot for a good period of the time because I did my part, you know what I mean? Whereas people literally will lie. Like,
and there's just so many people that don't take it seriously. Like, I know people that are like, yeah, like I have COVID. You want to hang out? No, no, I don't, like at all. Like, and like, it's funny. I'm actually still surprised I haven't gotten it yet. Like, I'm still a little safe, but I'm not like, I'm definitely hanging out with people still. I'm not having a barbecue with 100 people over or anything like that.
There's
but
ways to like still like live your life, but be safe about it. And some people don't realize that. Like, you can prioritize like what you need to, because sometimes we need to see our friends literally for our mental health.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just like get rid of that. So yeah, there are ways to see your friends but be safe, and some people just don't get that.
For sure.
I have a friend who works in the health industry, and she passed on the vaccine, and I was like, can I have it? Like, I want the vaccine. So there's people that just, it's crazy how many people don't take it seriously. It's just a mask, like wear a mask. It's so easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely cut some people off in the industry, which was really hard, and could definitely make it harder down the line because I might need that connection. But I was like, you know what, if they don't have the same values as me right now, that's so obvious, and I don't want them in my life. And so I've had to cut off friends, people in the industry. It's been really, the industry took a weird turn with COVID because people cut each other off, and some people would literally cut off others for wearing a mask. Like, it goes both ways. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
And working in a salon, that's just my like side little gig. I'm constantly telling people to put on their mask. So like, I wear a mask for so long that it's so easy for me. So when people don't wear a mask, I'm like, I don't think I like you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that with things like that, modeling really will take so many hits with stuff like that. Like, a trend, everyone's going to do the trend, you know what I mean? Like, if a pandemic happens, like, it's going to hit everyone in the industry.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of cool projects that got canceled, and that was a lot of money like gone, you know what I mean? That's always really tricky. But again, no photo is worth that much to, like Trey, he's in a position where he has to support himself. His parents are not super in the picture. So if he were to get COVID and have to take off that time for work, he could be homeless, you know what I mean? And some people don't realize that I don't want to wear a mask. That comes from a place of privilege, and a lot of people don't realize their privileges. Whereas, like, I'm around people that if they get it, they could go homeless. So I'm going to wear my mask, and I'm not going to shoot.
Right.
Sorry, good.
Since this podcast started, I kind of have always had this thought in the back of my head where I'm like, is now a great time to start a podcast, or is it a terrible time? You know, like I'm sure we're gonna have guests on that are like, oh yeah, I haven't seen anybody in so long. I'd love to at least like be on a Discord with you or be in person. And then there's people that, you know, where we can't. We've had, you know, some guests where it's like, no, not right now. You know, it's just not a good time. Which, you know, for sure, I totally get that. But yeah, and then, you know, another reason that I kind of wanted to start this is I feel like there are a lot of people who are still really quarantining because they're unsafe. You know, like they have worse health and things like that. And you know, hopefully, you know, I know there's tons of podcasts out there, but maybe if it's someone they know, they're more likely to listen. Where it's like, oh yeah, it's almost like I'm hanging out with my boys Mike and I, you know.
That's cute. But another thing I kind of wanted to touch on is, from what I gather, you guys are either atheist or agnostic. Is that correct?
I'm agnostic, but I'm understanding of all religions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to hear why I am atheist, since we already talked about the health stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Just because I know you guys are very comfortable having your guests talk about this, I was like, I think it's kind of interesting. Like I said, I was born, raised atheist in Utah. Good God.
Yeah, and I want to hear about that too after you explain why you're atheist.
So
like, about
this
that
comes from, and the reason I bring it up, because like you had a lot of different like views and stuff like that, and so I'm like, okay, here's my 2 cents. But the reason I am atheist, and this might be kind of controversial, is simply from a petty reason, is going through the treatment that I've done and having the illness that I have, is I know people say like God works in mysterious ways. Where I'm like, well, that's rude. Like, I don't want to have to go through these like trials just to prove something to this like entity, you know what I mean? And so I first was being raised atheist. My parents were big on, if you found a religion, once you're old enough to understand what it is, we'll support you wholeheartedly. I just never found one that stuck. And then I started going through that.
That's really cool,
and I was like, you know, if this is like the test I'm being put through, I don't even want to give this God a time of day of putting energy into believing him.
Right.
And so I guess atheism comes from a petty place where I'm like, if a God does exist, I don't want to give him or her any energy any time of day, because that sucks what it's putting me through, if it is, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Because going through those treatments really made me like question life. I was like, that's fucked. Like, and I like Salt Lake City Inspired, like I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. Like, I'm not a shit person. Like, why am I being put through this test, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And same thing where it's like God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, that's fair. But why is this like month-year-old baby have cancer? Why is it being tested and stuff like that? So I'm like, I don't even want to give it, him, her, whatever, a time of day. So that's why I'm atheist.
Right. But there's a lot of religions
I'd love
where...
your guys' views and opinions on that.
For sure. Well, there's a lot of religions where God doesn't like have a plan for you. He doesn't have any of that kind of stuff. So it sounds like you're... I mean, it could be completely atheist, but it definitely atheist in the sense of like Christianity, right? Okay.
Yeah, there's some things that if you're religious and that makes you happy, that brings me so much happiness. So like, I'm not like anti all religion. I'm just like,
for sure.
But I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, is this just with like Christianity? Is this with like other religions? And I think it's just like all in a whole. Like, I just like don't believe that exists. But I do believe that someone can believe that wholeheartedly, and it can affect their life. Like, that's a very true and real thing. But yeah, if there is a God, however like men, women, whatever, I just don't want to give them the time of day to believe in them.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you a spiritual person at all?
I would say probably not. I do believe in like what we call karma, but I feel like calling it karma is probably like a little insensitive, because I know that stems from like a bunch of other places.
Yeah, for sure.
So like what we commonly know as karma, I definitely do believe. I think whatever energy you put out is you're just gonna like naturally stick to that, and it's gonna come back with like your self-sabotage. So I do believe in that, but that's the only like spiritual-esque, I would say. And my parents are very anti-LDS, which is they picked the right place to live.
Yeah, why did they choose Utah? Were they born and raised here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, so I think once we're older, they'll move. But all my neighbors have, like, they're in a ward, of course, and they always say, like, if there's a natural emergency, you're going to need us. And my dad always says to that, is like, I'm the engineer in the neighborhood. You guys are going to need me. So, and then, of course, like, I've gone through people just being really rude in the religion to me. And so that's always, like, hard and made me deter from it. But my parents, they were always like, if you found a religion, like I said, we'll support you wholeheartedly. They're not super against religion. They're just not going to brainwash me when I'm 3 years old or like 8 years old or whatever. They're going to wait until I'm old enough to whatever. But I used to have this friend when I was really little. And my parents made it very clear to whoever I was sleeping over with, especially around Sunday. They're like, she doesn't go to church. Like, she's too young. So it's probably like 6, 7.
That's awesome.
And I had this friend, and the parents were like, hey, we'll take you to like breakfast in the morning, but you have to go to church and you can't tell your parents. And me being little, I was like, okay. And with my natural, like, how I just kind of act, I was like, cool, I'm going to get breakfast and then I'm going to tell my parents. So I went to church.
You rat? No, I'm just kidding.
I fucking snitch.
You ratted them out.
I'm literally such a snitch. But I went to church and everything, and you know how they do like the little cups of water?
Yeah.
I'm going to be so insensitive right now. I just don't know the terminology, but they do the little cups, you drink it, it has symbolism, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was asking my friend, I was like, what does this represent? And she's like, this is whoever, I don't know what she said, God or Jesus
It's
or
like
whatever.
Jesus' blood.
Yeah, she said it's Jesus' blood. And I audibly, very loudly as a child went, I'm drinking Jesus' blood, like super loudly in the church. And so like
in the echo auditorium.
Yeah, like literally like
off all the
traumatized. And I was like, Colt, like I'm so scared. This is a horror movie. And it was innocent or whatever. But yeah, I sure enough went home and told my parents, and they like explained to me like how that was like manipulative and toxic of those parents. So they understood like the whole situation. And then of course like I tried to find religion throughout my life and it just didn't stick. But yeah, so I've but my friend's parents doing that, I was like, why are you guys trying to trick me into going to church? Like, that's fucked. Right.
Because in their eyes, they get an eternal reward for it.
Yeah, in their eyes, they're doing good. In my eyes, I'm like, damn. But yes, that's why I'm atheist.
For sure. So the way I kind of describe just people of all religions, like missionaries in general, like I think they're coming from a place of a big heart. And
a little return missionary over there.
Yeah. Well, so basically, what I kind of see it as is they're trying to give you a whole bunch of money, but it's like you see it as monopoly money. Like they're like, here's $1 million. Like just take it. And you're like, no, like I don't need it. That's monopoly money.
Interesting.
And
I love that way of thinking about it.
I know. I think that'd probably be a stand-up that I'd have. But I really think that they're coming from a good place of because like you know, in the Mormon religion, they're trying to get you in a better part of heaven. In the Christian religion, they're just trying to get you into heaven and things like that. And like you know, I totally understand your point of view. Like you want to give me all this money that you have.
Like
but
thank you so
plastic.
much for wanting that for me. Exactly.
But to me, it's plastic. You know, and it could be great. It could be not. It could be whatever. But I just don't. You know, I find it to be plastic money.
People who are religious, like, and it brings them so much joy, like, truly, wholeheartedly support them. That makes me so happy. But the, like, pushing it, like, in my face, I'm like, maybe not. Because, granted, I'm on a podcast, so I'm talking about it, but, like, I won't bring up the fact that I'm atheist, like, in casual conversation, because, like...
I do hate those atheists where it's like, oh, my God, I'm atheist. Okay, dude. All right.
All right. Yeah, so I try not to bring it up, but I've definitely had people that... actually, when I first started going to treatment, I had someone, a dance mom that I used to teach, text me, and she was like, oh, like, are you coming back? And I was like, no, actually, I needed to step down. And I explained briefly, like, I just have some health issues that don't allow me to, because at this point, I had my, like, 3rd surgery. Like, I've had so many. And she told me to pray harder.
Yeah,
she was literally her response.
She's like, when was the last time you went to the temple?
Exactly. She was like, I think you need to pray harder. She also recommended me some crystals, so like that was cool.
Crystals, you know?
Yeah, so that's kind of been my main experience. I'm like, I just if I'm gonna find religion, it's gonna be on my own accord, maybe not going to a church.
For sure.
But yeah, as the time goes, I'm kind of like, if there is a God, you're really rude to me, and I don't want to give you that time of day.
Yeah, I feel like that's always like a missionary response. Are you praying hard? Are you really like getting into it?
No, my gosh,
Really
it was like my. So I you've heard quite a few of our podcasts, and so I don't know if you gathered, I was kind of an unorthodox missionary.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, that was one of my biggest pet peeves, was in lessons when people would be like, are you praying with like true intent? And they're like, yeah, but I just don't feel anything. And it's like making them feel bad for that when they are like very genuinely trying to find God and very genuinely trying to find like a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And then like making them feel bad for that. Like, you aren't trying hard enough.
Like,
it's like them. And I was like, maybe this God is kind of like shitty.
Exactly. If you're trying to get somebody, if any future potential missionaries are listening to this, if you are trying to get somebody on your side, don't make them feel like, don't shame them and don't make them feel like an idiot. Like, dude, you just don't know how to pray. Come on.
Well, also, a lot of people don't know how to pray. Like we would have to have like an outline of like first you thank God, and then you ask him for what you need help with, and then you say these words to end it. Yeah. And people would like have to read it like line by line, and they would still mess up. Aww. And so it's like, of course these people aren't gonna pray to the standards of like a frickin' someone that was born and raised doing this, you know.
But they're trying,
Praying is pretty common in like a lot of cultures, right? Like in religions, like.
I guess there's like different you could consider different forms.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in like Buddhism and stuff, from what I understand, I'm no expert, but it's like a lot of, you know, obviously meditating, and there's like they have these things called prayer beads that they like go through while they like recite like Buddhist scriptures.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
I've seen those. Or just to keep track of the steps and stuff, right? Or
it's like a way to like keep your mind focused or keep a rhythm with it. I can't remember exactly what it is.
But that totally makes sense. I've definitely seen like those. Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it is.
Right.
But
I had a friend that was friends in high school, like one of my only friends in high school. Hi Matt, if you're watching this, I'm about to drag you. But he went off and had his mission, and he was very respectful that I was an atheist. I was very respectful that he was going on his mission. I'm not the biggest supporter of missions, but like I still, if it makes you happy, it makes me happy.
Right.
And he was like, "Can I please send you the Book of Mormon?" I was like, fine. Like anyone else would be like, no, thank you. Like, yes, that makes you happy, but no, thank you. But I was like, fuck, fine, Matt, send it my way. And he was so sweet. He like wrote a little note or whatever. I tried so hard to read that thing. I tried.
Wow, I'm impressed you did that.
Could not. I only got like.
You don't want to hear about Nephi?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm such a bitch.
Nephi and his brothers that sounded way cooler than him.
I tried so hard, and he was like, "Did you read it?" And I was like, "Matt, I'm not gonna lie to you. No, but I tried, and that's what counts." And he was like, "Well, thanks for trying," and I never picked up that book ever since. But oh my god, I tried so hard, but it was not for me.
Yeah, that was the furthest I got. Like in middle school, I remember. Like I was just talking to this girl, and I had a small crush on her, and I think she liked me back. But I remember it came up where I was like, oh yeah, like I don't really go to church. And then like the next day, she like hands me a Book of Mormon, and she just like starts bawling. She's like, just read it. And I read it, and it was, but you know, it's just. I couldn't get into it. Like I didn't read all of it, obviously, but I read a couple chapters, and I was like,
maybe if it was like on Audible.
I'm sure. I bet there's audio recordings of it.
Too. I think maybe because like I'm big on if you want to talk about something, you need to be knowledgeable in it. So I'm not going to even like attempt to debate or talk about the Book of Mormon because I haven't read it. That's not fair for me to give my 2 cents
I like
about that.
I really respect that.
So yeah, but I'm all for like learning. Like if I could get myself to like digest that info, I would. But do I have the motivation to go find that on Audible when I have freaking Twilight? No. So one day maybe. Yeah, we'll see. But I had tried so damn hard to read that book, and mad props to people who could. But I'm being dyslexic AF. That's not the good. Like that's not like the way it's written, and like there's numbers. Like no way.
Really fast. I just got a rant about Nephi really fast.
Tell us.
I need to explain Nephi a little bit for those that don't know. So Nephi is like the ideal boy prophet, Mormon boy, and he's in the Book of Mormon, in the Mormon scriptures. And basically, at the beginning of the Mormon scriptures, this family is told that they need to abandon everything they know and love, all of their wealth, all of their land, everything from Jerusalem, and come to America. And they wander in the wilderness for a long time, trying to find the ocean. And Nephi is this little goody-good asshole that thinks he's so good, and his brothers are like seen as evil, but they're just like, we just want to go back. Like this sucks. We don't know where we're going, and he just like chews them out over and over again. And then eventually they try and kill Nephi. And I'm like, I would probably try and kill him too. Like, he's being such a little asshole, being so self-righteous.
Did you always think that?
I've thought that for a long time. Yeah, that was one of the big reasons that
I was like a nerd.
No, yeah, I was like, wow, like I identify way more with Laman and Lemuel are their names than Nephi.
Right.
And everyone would be like, you got to be like Nephi. I'm like,
why?
Nephi is the last person I want to be like. He's literally like the worst person.
You're like, no fucking thing.
But anyways, there's my rant. Sorry.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know if you guys are familiar enough to.
No,
for that to land.
I'm not, but I love learning about that.
Like
I said, like I love to learn about these things. Like I'm never gonna like pass down. Like so, my grandpa. Sorry, I don't know if we're running out of time.
No, we're not.
But my grandpa on my mom's side is actually what is it? Like they're in the LDS church. I literally can't remember the name. Not a priest, but begins with a
bishop.
A bishop. He's a bishop.
Okay. Wow. Your grandpa, you said?
Yeah, my grandpa.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm his pride and joy. If you can't tell, no, I'm just kidding. But when I was younger, he asked me, he's very respectful that my family is not religious. And so when me and my sister were really, really little, he asked my parents just once. He was like, can I talk about religion with them? Like, is that something I can put into their lives? And they said no, and they respected it ever since. But he's so awesome, because if I ever have a question, he will answer it, and he'll tell me just kind of like how you told me about that, without like...
He'll call Nephi an asshole?
Yeah. He'll teach you, tell you what like you asked, and like that's it. He's not going to like shove it down your throat, which is really cool.
That's really cool.
But yeah, so little born and raised atheist.
Especially his generation.
Yeah.
That generation of Mormons, they're not typically like that. That's really cool.
He's really cool. And then my dad's side are not religious. They're little Irish, like grandparents. So yeah, definitely a different vibe with family reunions for sure. We don't really mix the two sides, because it's like very religious, and then like small, like my mom has a couple sisters, brother, and then my dad has a sister, so you can tell which side is the religious side. But yeah, so little atheist Marin has a bishop for grandpa.
Look at that.
Yeah, he's really cool though. It never like hinders our relationship or anything like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's so incredible. He literally sets out to learn different languages just to be able to communicate with people better. My friend from elementary school, Sabrina, she's from Brazil, like her parents are, and my grandpa used to teach at a like Portuguese church or whatever, and he helped them like get into Utah, like all that stuff. So really kind of cool. So like mad respect for people who are religious. Like you can be so incredible. It's just not for me.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, he's really awesome about teaching stuff without like, because I have asked the wrong person the wrong question. I've asked them like a baby question, and 30 minutes later they're still telling me about the church, and I should go get like a little soda with them so they can tell me more about it. I'm like, no, thank you.
And then they're crying.
I love how it's always over soda. Like, let's go to the Fizz down the street.
Oh my god, I fuck so hard with Fizz.
Really?
So hard, and I'm so mad on Sundays. Like, literally after this, I was like, I'll go get Fizz. Oh fuck, it's Sunday.
Wait, Fizz isn't open on Sunday?
I feel like some of those places are like Hey Soda or
yeah, it's because
Hey Soda,
they're religious-y kind of businesses. But yeah, I fuck with Fizz, but I always make fun of it, because I'm always like, oh yeah, like they wanted to tell me about the church, but they want to go get Fizz first, because it's like the gateway.
Sonic, I feel like Sonic's pretty close.
Oh, I love Sonic.
Like
Sonic is so good. Oh my
Sonic
gosh.
slaps.
The only place I can get a Shirley Temple. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but I love
fast
Fizz.
food place.
Do you guys like pretzels?
I love pretzels.
Okay, Fizz has pretzels. Oh my gosh, Trey's gonna laugh so hard at me for bringing this up. The way I always bring up pretzels, like the pristine, like you go to the carnival, like
yeah.
Nice
they have
pretzels.
those kinds of pretzels?
Fizz has those
Like
pretzels.
the large soft.
Yeah,
oh, I
they
love
are so
those.
good. They are so addicting. Like they are the best pretzel I've ever had.
I
so
love
Really? Because I
pretzels.
love the pretzels at Costco.
yeah,
I've never had one there. I don't think
great.
actually. Yeah.
They're great pretzels, actually. Well, everything at Costco is just so great.
everything
true.
is so
We're not sponsored by Fizz or Costco, by the way.
But if you do want to, if you do want to sponsor us, hit us up.
Costco, get on this, dude. Yeah, if you ever need a pretzel, go to freaking Fizz. It's so good. Except on Sundays.
Except on
We're
Sundays.
supposed to be worshiping.
All right, sorry, listeners.
It's the Lord's Day.
It's the Lord's Day.
No,
So-
I call it Second Saturday now.
Second Saturday.
But anyways.
Which is a special day.
Yeah, because you can. It's
get
another
ready for
Saturday.
Second Sunday.
Wait, what?
That's the song. Saturday's a special day.
Oh, yo, freak! You know
what is
that
it? You
song?
were really off your game on jokes recently.
Whoa!
It's always nice not going to church on Sundays, because like that leaves you one day to sleep in when you're going to school.
Oh,
on
yeah.
like Saturday.
Right.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
thrive by never getting up in the morning. So like if I had to go to church in the morning, that would make me have such a hatred for it. I don't do shoots in the morning. I don't do anything in the morning, because if I schedule it in the morning, I will like it just doesn't happen. Like I will bail, and I don't ever really bail. Like I really try not to unless it's emergency. Like last time we were supposed to film this podcast, but if it's in the morning, I struggle.
Yeah.
Which by the way, Trey is doing fine. For the people listening, I was supposed to come in a couple weeks ago, and the night before, my boyfriend took another tumble down the stairs. And with a broken toe already. Yeah, so he's okay. He had some like pretty gnarly bruises on his back and stuff like that. But so we took him to the like urgent care. So I was worried about his ribs. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's okay, but yeah, I did have to bail for that.
Yeah, being so tall and lanky, I mean, you got to be off your balance a little bit. I used to take boxing in high school, and they would always tell me like the best way to like kind of defend is to knock them off their balance, because it's much easier to knock somebody tall off their balance than it is somebody that's like lower to the ground. Did you learn that kind of stuff? You did what was it, Tai Chi? No, not Tai Chi. What was it called?
I just did like a variety of Chinese martial arts.
Really
That's
good
cool.
Chinese
Yeah.
martial arts.
Mad respect for that.
No, they just taught us pull your gun out.
Pull your gun. Really?
That's what they teach.
That's some
them.
cool karate.
Yeah,
Oh, we love that.
yeah.
my boyfriend is so bad at stairs. Like, it's really bad. But kind of interesting. If you bail a lot in the industry, you are doomed, because there are like blacklists for photographers, but there's blacklists for models. So if you bail a lot, that gets known. So I try to keep it. So if I bail on things, it's only happened like maybe like 3 or 4 times, and it's probably because of health stuff. Because you're shooting yourself in the foot if you bail. There's like people at my meetups that they'll mention like, hey, by the way, this person bails a lot, because they know that I kind of need that info. And if that person RSVPs, I'll literally be like, hey, I know you bail a lot. Are you going to bail? And there's been some people that do bail and they get blacklisted. So if you bail a lot, so I'd really try not to. And then, of course, there are the people that naturally bail all the time, and they're like, oh, I have the stomach flu. And you're like, again? Like, didn't you have that last Tuesday? Like, so if I bail, it's definitely an emergency, that's for sure.
Well, now you're on the podcast blacklist, just so you know.
Oh, good.
Because you did bail on
that was my goal for here, is to come talk and then be blacklisted.
One and done, that's it.
I will expect being blocked after today.
Yeah, for sure. We actually had to block a bunch of
we
get
way.
the Helm followers today. Ours
it was a bunch of bots.
It was a bunch of bots, yeah.
So we posted our last episode, and some bots found our account and would be like, oh, DM like this place
I see those on people's stuff all the time.
Like
you click on
promotion.
And you click on their profile, and it's got like a million subscribers, but then you start looking at some of the photos they post, and they got like 50 likes or
models
something.
get those a lot. We get like the DM to collab or whatever. Or another, I guess I should have mentioned this earlier, but a scam that people prey on models for is you get companies that are like, we want you to model this product, you just need to pay shipping, or you get a discount. Whereas, well, the first time I saw that, it was very obvious a red flag, and I was like, this is literally a scam, or this is like a bot sending me this message. But people fall for it all the time, because if you're paying shipping, they're literally paying them. Like, you should never pay to model a product. But luckily, being private, I don't get a ton of those comments.
Yeah, and they might have that thing in the back of their head where like, oh, maybe it's a scam, but like, it's only $13.99.
No, that's what we did.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, it's only like.
It's like $20.
Yeah.
What did you guys buy?
We just
like they put a post,
shout out.
Yeah, they put like
a shout out.
Yeah, and we're like, if they have that many followers, like I was looking through their followers, and some of them were clearly bots, but they had quite a few that looked like real followers.
Yeah, they look like views.
And so. Yeah, I was like, why not?
Why not? Yeah, because we thought about advertising like other places. Like, you can go advertise on Instagram, and it's only like $6 for I think like 800 to 1,200 views from people, and it's like, no, that's not bad. Like, maybe we should give that a shot. So we kind of decided to throw our hat in the ring, but yeah, we got like I think 6 new followers. All of them were bots, like very large-breasted model-looking women that are trying to ask me out on a date, which was great.
Like the breasts were large to the point where it was like unsettling. Like it looked like
they were scary.
It looked definitely like they were probably like enlarged in post-production, and it was like.
Funny.
It was and like hashtag like boobs.
Yeah, hashtag boobs. Yeah, it's hashtag boobs. Hashtag like OnlyFans with a Z.
Yep.
And it's always like they have one photo on Instagram, and then that photo is the same as their profile.
It's the profile picture. Oh my gosh, but social media like algorithms are no joke. Like, that's one thing I like to study in, because you got to be good with social media. So I get paid to post sometimes, like on my story, like I'll post model calls and stuff. So like, I try to do a good amount of shout outs for people. Like, I made one recently. I worked with this makeup artist, and I tried to shout her out, and she gained like a good amount of followers from it. Same photographers. Like, it's no joke, but bots will murder your algorithm. Like, I know people that go through and remove their own followers for people that don't interact, so that their engagement goes up, which you think more followers means more engagement.
Interesting.
But Instagram will only send out a photo to a % of your followers. So if some of them are ghosts, then like a good chunk of that's not going to like. So, but yeah, bots will literally murder. So if you see someone that follows like 5,000 people, they have 2,000 people following, but they're following 5,000. They probably have horrible engagement.
Yeah. Well, I know YouTube's kind of like that. Or you were talking about that, where like if you have subscribers that aren't clicking on your videos, so if you're doing that thing where it's like follow for follow, or just trying to get or trying to buy follow for sure, or trying to get like bots or just like random accounts to follow you, like it's gonna really hurt your algorithm, because they're gonna be like, oh, people aren't even liking this, they're not clicking on this, so we're not even gonna send this out if their own subscribers, their own followers aren't liking their stuff.
I see, like my friend recently had this other person that was like, I got more likes than you on this post, or I have more followers than you. And he went and looked at their account. It was like the hashtag follow for follow, like sub for sub. And like you look at her post and she has like no likes and no comments. Like, comments is a dead giveaway, because if you have people that actually like your stuff, they're going to comment. So if you have just like bot followers or like purchase followers and bot followers, like you're gonna get no likes and no comments. Comments are a dead giveaway.
For sure.
That's why engagement groups on Instagram are really beneficial. You can't use the word like real, post, or like new in the chat because Instagram will block you, but it's just a nice way to like have a group, like a very small group, be like, hey, this post isn't doing too good, can you guys hype me up? And like it's actual engagement. And if you don't like that post, you don't have to comment. Like there was this girl that was working with literal sex offender photographers, and I told her, I was like, hey, you're working with someone scary, maybe don't. She was like, that's fine. And I was like, okay, I don't want to support you. So you don't have to like and stuff, but engagement groups are a way around like jumpstarting your account. Like, so love my little engagement pods.
I just want to mention one more account that followed us, but it was just
tell us.
It was pictures of the advertisement for the big Instagram profile that they had, and then a bunch of pictures of women's feet. And
I didn't see that one.
I saw that one. I was like, okay, like this is also like your creepy profile as well as like your advertising. It was one of the people that commented. I don't think they were following us, but it was one of the people that were commenting on like our profile, like, oh yeah, follow this guy for $9.
And it's feet pictures. I actually have a couple of friends that sell feet pictures. Mad respect.
Look at that.
I've heard you can make good money if you got good looking feet.
I have some. The thing is, being a model, you meet so many different kinds of people, like all walks of life. I like pride myself on having an incredible diversity of people I surround myself with, which is everyone should. But you also meet some interesting careers. So I have some friends that sell their underwear as their job. Like that is their full force. Like they have an accountant. I have friends that sell feet pictures.
Damn.
I have friends that do porn. I have a friend that's a professional dominatrix. Like quite a lot.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I have a lot of like friends. And then of course being a boudoir coach. I don't know if we touched on the difference between.
No, I wanted to though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So boudoir is what I coach, and that's the stuff that you're probably gonna see like girls in lingerie, but it's very like beautiful. Like you're looking at it and not going like, oh, she's fucking hot. Like you're looking and going like, wow, okay. So the difference between boudoir and porn is created for the viewer, whereas boudoir is created for the person being shot, and it's like purely an empowerment thing. And a lot of people will be like, well, they still post it, and so they're like wanting people to see. But posting a photo like that is such an incredible amount of like power, and it's so empowering. I even post a few of my boudoir photos, and it's on my terms that I'm posting it. I'm allowing people to see. Whereas porn, once it's shot, it's kind of like out of your hands. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the difference between boudoir and porn, and they're very different things, even though some people blur them. When there's like really tasteless boudoir done, then it's kind of like, that's kind of porny. But yeah, boudoir is done for the empowerment of the person being shot, and porn is for the viewer, if that makes any sense. So coaching boudoir, which is definitely like my favorite thing to coach, either high fashion or boudoir, is you meet all kinds of different people. Not saying you have to be like a professional dominatrix to shoot boudoir. It just naturally you end up. I actually met her through a heels class, not even through boudoir. But once you're open to that kind of like lifestyles and stuff like that, you start to meet a lot of people. So I have a lot of friends who are sex workers, which is like so awesome for them, and they're very safe about it. But that's the difference. So I have friends that do boudoir, and you can tell it's different, and then they separate it from their porn life.
Right.
But yeah, so if you see someone post boudoir, it's a little bit rude to refer to it as porn if you know, because before I started coaching, I didn't know the difference. Like even Trey was like, oh, like you're coaching porn, and so I had to like explain and like educate myself. There's definitely some. I've had a photographer reach out to me, and I don't do boudoir like as collabs. Like I'm doing it on my own terms. Like those are my projects. But I had a photographer reach out to me. He's like, hey, check out my portfolio, and I could tell he was trying to do boudoir, but it was so bad. It was creepy. Like I was like, these models look uncomfortable, and I was like, and it's just like not. The photos aren't really gorgeous or anything like that. It's like looked really like dingy or whatever, and that's where I feel like sometimes, not saying porn's dingy,
right?
But sometimes those like lines can get skewed. But that's the difference between them.
So what's the, like you said, a lot of your friends are OnlyFans? Not a lot, but like, you know, a chunk.
Yeah.
Is there any like weird like OnlyFans profiles they do? Like that's not like feet or underwear, like anything that's really outside the box? Because I've heard of some weird OnlyFans like profiles where it's really niche with what.
I think the only ones I like have friends that do are like the feet and then selling underwear. But I do have a friend that sells the underwear, but she sells like her day-to-day things. She sells her trash.
Trash?
She sells those face masks that you do, like those paper ones. She will use it and then sell it.
Interesting.
What's another weird thing that she sold? Garbage is definitely an interesting one.
Garbage.
I do know someone that has sold a used tampon before, and they got like a couple $100 from it.
Wow.
So like if that's your thing, like there's big
that's
for
solid.
it. yeah, it's definitely interesting being friends with people that do that because it's like so cool. Like I'm like, hell yeah, go you.
Yeah,
if I could
honestly.
do it, I would do it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. Definitely the most interesting one was the professional dominatrix, and she was actually famous on TikTok for a little bit before she got banned. So I took a heels class.
Banned. Yeah. So she has an OnlyFans?
She does, yes.
Okay.
So I met her at a heels class, and then I saw her on TikTok, and I was like, wait a fucking second, is that her? And I'm
look at that.
And I literally like looked at her tattoos on the TikTok, went back to our heels video, and I was like, that's her. And so then I reached out and was like, dude, I found you on TikTok.
That's
and she's like,
so
welcome.
funny.
And then we've been friends like since. And yeah, she got banned, but she's back up and she already has like a bunch of followers. But yeah, she's literally a professional dominatrix.
Wow.
So cool.
That's sick.
And like when I realized that's what she did, I was like, yeah, that tracks up, because being around someone like that has the most incredible confidence, and they're like the coolest person. I was like, that tracks. You gotta have confidence to be able to be a literal dominatrix. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, modeling is really fun. I know so many interesting walks of life now.
Yeah.
Are you
gonna say what I think you're gonna say?
I don't know.
Well, the reason I mentioned the OnlyFans thing is because I know someone ended up on OnlyFans accidentally.
Was it the burping thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is what I was gonna say.
I really wanted to bring that up.
So, I have a friend of mine who's so talented. I guess that's probably the word with burping.
Wow.
And like he can like burp sentences at a time.
Oh my god.
And he'll like burp movie quotes or stuff like that. And I think it was like when Vine was still a thing, or it might have been when TikTok was first starting. He made a profile and he would just like burp different sentences or quotes or stuff like that.
Can you guys burp on command? No. I cannot.
I can do little baby ones.
I can't
even roll my R's.
I'm not like a cool,
Really?
I'm not a cool middle schooler at all.
I can't do that. Can you roll your R's?
No, I can't like.
I'm so glad I found my people. I cannot do it. And Trey gives me crap.
I actually practiced for like a year and I got it. I couldn't do it before.
Janae, she couldn't until she started taking Spanish.
Here's the thing. I took 3 years. I don't know anything in Spanish. Please don't ask me to say anything. But I've taken 3 years of Spanish. And you have to roll your R's to pass it, like pass class. Yeah. I had 3 different Spanish teachers give up on me, but still give me an A because they were like, "You're really trying."
Right.
3 different Spanish teachers give up on me for rolling my R's.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people that like will even like they'll know English for 30 years and they'll still have a hard time saying L, and it's like that's just a normal thing. Like your tongue literally cannot, but it just literally isn't used to doing anything like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't know how to make those muscles move in the way they want.
I want an OnlyFans for burping though. That just seems like he really is. He's getting money.
So what it was he like I think it was Vine, because then I think he stopped when Vine went down.
Yeah.
And then he found like a YouTube video of someone making like a compilation of all of his stuff.
He's like, this is my
and it had a bunch of views, and then there was like a link to an OnlyFans, and people they took his videos and they put it in OnlyFans, and I guess
so it wasn't even his OnlyFans. It was someone See, I have some friends that's happened to.
And I guess there's like a fetish out there for
burping.
Yeah.
There's a fetish for everything now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Really is.
It's nuts.
Maybe this is pretty controversial, but I always joke that the LDS religion has a breeding kink for how many like kids they want to have.
I think they just like want to spread the religion now.
The genes.
Oh, it's for sure that. But the joke, is like they have a breeding kink. Totally, I'm so sorry. Like that is totally not true. But that's just a joke that I've heard, and I was like, that's funny because there's a kink for everything. Everything can be categorized as a kink nowadays.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We love that.
The important part is consent to anyone listening.
Consent is sexy. It really is. Yeah. Definitely.
People ask me what my biggest turn on is. I ask them first, and then I respond with consent. And I'm like, that wasn't your biggest turn on, my guy? Come on, what are you doing? Consent's gotta be number one.
Number one. And the thing is, like, consent really shows up so many ways. Like, it doesn't need to necessarily be sexual. Like,
for sure.
If I have to change in front of someone, even if it's like one of my good friends, like I'm gonna be like, are you comfortable with me changing in front of you? Because like you didn't necessarily consent to see me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or just like, if I'm gonna do boudoir, like everyone in the room, I get like a verbal like agreement, and chances are they already have a written agreement. I have this really fun. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I did this bunny shoot where we were all in lingerie and we had these bunny masks, kind of like Ariana Grande.
No, I remember seeing that. That was,
I'm doing
pretty recently, right?
Huh?
That was pretty recently, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that shoot so much. So I'm turning it into a series. So I'm gonna do it again, but we're all gonna be in pink lingerie with ski masks. And everyone had to agree and sign this like very elaborate contract explaining that they are aware that they are doing boudoir, even the photographers, so that no one could be like, well, I didn't know that I was going to see that, you know what I mean? But consent shows up in so many different ways.
Or are they going to be pink ski masks?
They're going to be like neon yellow.
Neon yellow, that's pretty
sick.
That's cool. So excited.
That's
I'm
really
getting some
cool.
toy guns, and I'm like spray painting them like hot pink, like, and I'm going to try to get permission from a bank downtown to shoot in front of them, because like
Oh, that would be way cool.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, everyone, everyone had to consent to, they're aware what they're doing, even the photographers. And then the people, they bring buddies, because those kind of stuff, I'm like, you have to bring a buddy to be a part of this shoot. So like, they all have to like consent, but consent shows up in so many different ways. Yeah. It's just nice. Consent is sexy, and it's so easy to,
So we in Utah, we just had our state legislative session. And there was a bill that was trying to be passed. I don't think it passed, because Utah is terrible with sex ed or anything having to do with consent. But it was all about teaching consent and sex ed better in the schools. Yeah. And the consent, a big thing with this bill was consent is way more than just sex or like the human body or stuff like that. Like, it's like, before we started this podcast, we talked about things that you're comfortable talking about, or if there's something you aren't comfortable talking about, tell us, because we want to make sure like, you're consenting to these conversations.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so, it's so important to just like make sure everyone's comfortable and respect their boundaries and communicate it to people. I was so impressed when you did ask,
because if you hadn't asked, I was going to say so, but it was just nice that you guys took that initiative to be like, hey, if there's anything that's off topic, and so it's nice to not just be sprung on a topic that would cause a bad reaction, that we can like ease into it. That's always nice, and that's consent, like right then and there.
Yeah. And we always let our guests know, like, if you don't answer questions, just don't. We'll cut it out. Like, no problem.
Exactly. Yeah. I am, as you know, I literally love to talk, so like I'm such an open book. But yeah, there's always people, you never know, there could be that one thing. But if I coach someone, even if it's like my best friend I'm coaching, if I go to adjust anything on their outfit, like I'm checking in really quick, even though I know they're comfortable, because you never know. Right. There's this photographer, so I'm pretty big on don't shoot boudoir with a straight man. Sorry. Like, that being said, I have 2 male photographers, both straight, that I shoot with fairly often, but in general, like, you're just better off shooting with a girl. And so there's this male photographer, and he always brings his wife to do the coaching. So any clothes adjustments, anything that needs, it's the wife doing it. So he's only handling the photography, like the camera and stuff like that. And even she does the same thing, where she just checks in. She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna come over, move your hair." Like, it doesn't need to be like moving something over like your boob or anything like that. She's like, "I'm gonna touch your hair," because
and I'm sure that helps protect him too, because I'm sure there's so much like miscommunication that could potentially happen. Where you do move something like their hair, it's like, whoa, like, and you weren't meaning anything by it, but there's still that.
It really does save you, because there was this one time that this girl zipped me up in a dress, and she zipped up my entire back. It was so painful. And if she and I knew the dress was tight on me, and if she had just asked, I would have said like, no, I can do it, like, it's really tight. But instead, she just walked up, zipped me up, and luckily the person who had the dresses saw that, and so I didn't get in trouble for literally bleeding all over this dress. But I was like, if she had just asked, like, it just saves yourself. And so she got kind of in trouble, because they're like, why are you touching our professional model? Like, no, you're not here to do adjustments. So yeah, it really saves all parties around. And being blunt too, just like setting those boundaries. It's hard to set boundaries like that in this industry. It's so easy to be like, I need to do a nude shoot, where like you don't have to at all. And stuff like that.
To like try and gain traction. You're saying like, I need to do this, so then I can like have this networking point or
There's
whatever.
this really awesome tool, and I actually run the one on Instagram. It's called Utah Safe Haven. So I do the Instagram one. They're not associated, they're just similar, where models can go research who they're working with. And that's a really awesome tool, because you can see like, this person was really nice to this person, had a good experience, but this other person might have a different experience. So you can be like, wait, okay, I can see that, I'm not going to work with that person, and it'll save you. It saved me a bajillion times.
It's like Yelp for modeling.
Or, rate my professor. It's like, rate my photographer.
That is incredible. Rate your professor. Whoever came up with that, genius.
I actually love it. I have a lot of friends that don't like it.
No, it's great.
But,
it's so helpful.
It really is.
It's nice to know that this teacher is like really test driven, or like they only teach this one way, or it's just simply an asshole. Like, that's so nice to know. It's definitely saved, like, my sister, who's almost done with college, she's like double majoring, freaking little genius. Saved herself for sure, because and then she wrote reviews. Like, that's a genius like thing. Another genius, just really random, but have you guys heard of Does the Dog Die? Have you guys heard of that?
No, what is that?
Okay, so it's a website, I think an app now, but so it basically has everything you could think of for like triggers and stuff like that. So for me, it would be, so And you can go look it up. So Trey will always look it up for me, so I don't even have to think about it. So in the movie, and it's based off like a community, so you go and review something and say like, it does have this, but it has everything from like clowns, a very common one, to like, is there a train in it? So like everything you could think of, it's there.
That's really cool.
That's a really nice platform. So rate your professor. Does the dog die? Top tier.
Does the dog die? That's great.
So of course there is does the dog die on it, which they rate, of course.
Right, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are trying to be like, if there's anything going on, like make sure there's a warning in front of it. It's like there's gonna be movies and TV shows that like want to surprise you with a death or want to
exactly.
And like you can't just have a trigger warning for every single thing.
You can't. So like there's a platform
like
for your
that.
due
like,
diligence.
That's fantastic. For people who are triggered easy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Because
I've
heard a lot of people trying
everything,
to.
Like, is there a pregnancy scene? Of course there is. Like, is there sexual assault in it? And that's always nice to know. But yeah, it's an awesome tool. So if you're ever with someone that has unique triggers, it's really nice. Or just to know if you don't want to see a dog die.
Yeah,
for sure. That's awesome. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's some
cool.
great advice.
Yeah, it's really nice. And so my friends like all have it on their phones, and of course I don't, because I'll begin to associate with that app with like what I'm trying to not think about.
Right.
So if like we're watching a movie, they'll like casually change the subject if it's not something I can watch, which is awesome. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
But they all just like will look up a movie if we want to go see it, and so like it's really nice. But like I said, it's based on a community, so you have to go. I think Trey's pretty good about it. So after you watch the movie, you can go right in and say like, yes, it does have this. It shows this before. If you really want to watch the movie, look out for this, and then it's going to show it like in 5 minutes. Awesome website.
Yeah, it gives you those spoilers if you really need to. That's great.
That's really nice.
Yeah, if you don't want to see a train or a pregnancy scene.
Right.
Does the dog die?
Does the dog die?
Exactly. Good website, that's for sure.
So,
I was gonna ask. You talked about like boudoir versus porn.
Yeah.
And you talked a lot about how boudoir is empowering.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary, like, Hot Girls Wanted.
No, I've heard about it.
They're, like,
that's the
porn industry.
Right?
Yeah, the porn industry does have a lot of issues.
Right?
I think so, yeah.
Based in Florida?
Yeah. Like, the porn industry definitely has a lot of issues, but do you see it as, like, never really being empowering? Or, like, what are your views on, like...
I think... Are you asking, like, do I find, like, can porn be empowering like boudoir?
Yeah, like, that was, like, that seemed to me like one of your differentiating points was, like, boudoir is, like empowering. Do you feel like porn can't fill that role?
Yeah, porn can be absolutely empowering. Like I said, I have some friends that are in the porn industry, and, like, they will say, like, after a shoot, they feel their best. Like, they feel so confident in themselves. So porn can be absolutely empowering. Just the difference is that, like, you are shooting porn typically for the viewer, whereas boudoir isn't being shot for the viewer.
Like, on your own terms?
Yeah, that's kind of the difference is like, who is digesting that once it's, like, finished, like a final product. But porn can absolutely be empowering. Like, and the confidence that you have to have with that, like, it should be so respected. Like, people are like, yes, there's so many problems in that industry, but it's like, man, those people are athletes. Like, let's be real. Like,
I can barely talk in front of a camera. I'm not doing.
Porn can be really empowering. I don't know from experience. I've coached a few OnlyFans shoots, and that's like a little bit more porn. So I've coached I've never coached like full on porn, but from like the experience I've heard, it can be definitely just as powering, if not more, as boudoir. It's just like, where is that content going is kind of what the differentiator is.
Okay, I see.
And boudoir is like a little bit of like a, not to say like porn is like a, like porn, like that word is just so like strong, but boudoir is like a prettier way. So like people don't feel as shamed, you know what I mean? Because like
for sure.
Once you do porn, like you kind of can't go back, you know what I mean? Like that is out there, whereas boudoir, it can be just for you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so I do, I coach it a lot, but I don't post it a lot, and so that's like a prime example that like it can just be for your own self. You don't need to necessarily give it to your partner. It can just be for myself. So that's kind of cool, whereas porn, you don't really have that option. You're not creating porn just to like have yourself watch it. I mean, you could, but typically porn is shot for others, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Whereas boudoir, it's not. Even if you post it, it's more of like an empowerment thing even further. Sometimes it's cool for people to see, like that snake photo I did where I'm topless but I have snakes on top of me. Like, yes, that's a very vulnerable and could be like very sexualized, but I felt like super cool about it, and I posted it and I got good feedback, and I was like, I'm posting it on my terms. Whereas if that was a porn shoot, I could post it and it's on my terms, but it's also being seen by people I probably don't know who's gonna see it. Does that kind of make sense?
for sure.
But man, OnlyFans shoots are very different though from boudoir. Like, just the way, like, doing an OnlyFans shoot, it is so like shot after shot after shot. Like, we are getting content, whereas boudoir, it's more of an experience. Like, we are talking about what makes you feel more confident. The poses are a lot more, like, making you feel better about yourself and, like, posing in ways that you're going to feel most confident, whereas porn, it's like, what is the viewer going to like the most out of this? So OnlyFans shoot, like, the poses are instantly a lot more, I don't want to say sexual, because I've done boudoir poses that are very sexual, but just, like, the energy giving off and the vibe was very much so, like what can be the most sexual in this pose, not like what can make you feel the best, you know what I mean? Even though in porn it should be important that you are doing what makes you feel the best, it's really just who is viewing it after, like where is it going, kind of.
And with OnlyFans, you got to pump out content like constantly, because you know people are giving you $10 a month. Generally, porn is free. Like, you got to really make sure
you got to make sure that content is good.
You know, going the extra mile, and so people will stay subscribed. Are
a very different experience. It's like, and at boudoir shoots, you always have music going. Like, it can be a very hyped, it can be a very like classy, or it can be like hyped, like whatever. Like the bunny shoot, that wasn't very like classy, like beautiful, like hair poses or whatever. It was very like badass, like whatever. And so that was one shit that was like, this is kind of porny, and I'm like, no, it's not, because I created it for us as the models. Yeah, you guys get to see it, which is cool for you, but whereas if that was a porn shoot, the posing would be very different, and it'd be going to so many more instead of my only handful of followers.
For sure. I mean, there's stuff where you can obviously tell, right? Like, it's not going to be a boudoir shirt if you just get a photo of that girl's asshole, and that's it.
Exactly. I do have this girl that she is really bad about referring to her porn life as boudoir, and so the more we get that like differentiate between it, it's the more like boudoir will be accepted. And I am like such a big advocate for everyone should do boudoir. It's so fun. I've coached male boudoir, I've coached couples boudoir. It's so fun. It really is. It's like, yeah, you're in lingerie, but sometimes you don't even notice that they are in lingerie. It's just like, oh, it's a lacy top.
Right. You could help us start our Mike at the Helm OnlyFans.
Yeah. You know who to call when that time comes.
Gonna be sick. Coach the OnlyFans, ready to go.
Exactly. But yeah, it definitely also comes down to like how it's being taken. You know what I mean? Like, I could do a nude shoot and it could be boudoir, but I could do a nude shoot and it could be porn. You know what I mean? So it's also like, how are the photos being edited? Like, how is it being treated? You know what I mean? Where like a bachelorette party, a really common thing is to do boudoir. So yeah, they're probably posing together, but it's not porn, because once again, it's for them, not the viewer. So yeah, I hope I kind of made that more sense of like the differences, because they are very similar. It's like one tiny little element that changes it.
Right. But, so before we end today's episode, do you have another horror story that you felt like you didn't get to mention, or like didn't bring up right? I just want to make sure. Oh
gosh, let me think. Horror stories.
Because I know you were excited about me asking about the horror story, so I was curious if there was one where you didn't get to share yet.
Yeah, so you guys know at the color festival, like the chalk, right?
Yeah.
So I have a friend, his Instagram handle is Voguish Photo, literally a god with photography, like the most knowledgeable person, kindest person I've ever met. So he did this incredible chalk shoot, right? And like the photos were incredible. And someone went to recreate that, and I guess they like had not gotten chalk, they just got like flour, dyed it or something like that, or it was super heavy, and they threw it thinking it was gonna like whew, and it went straight into the model's eyes, and it was so bad. It was really bad, and it didn't even like fluff out, it was just like right into
That's why you wear the sunglasses, don't put it in their eyes.
It was so bad. A lot of the horror stories, so that one's like kind of like a goofier one, but a lot of the horror stories are like, I had a friend reach out. This girl was going through some issues like legally, and of course Mama Marin, they sent me their way, and like we touched on this a little bit before, but she had signed a model release, and while she was changing, there was literally the two-way mirror, and she was being filmed while she was changing, and she was just 18.
Right.
And she was through an agency. The agency doesn't care, they got their money, like whatever. And so I was kind of helping her with like the legality of that, but when you sign those things, like first off, if a photographer takes a picture of you, that's the photographer's photo. Like that is like legally theirs. So that's why I do the model releases, so it shares that. But so she had signed a thing even further proving that it's the photographer's, and there was nothing explaining like what part of the shoot would they be shooting. It was a very vague but very smart and creepy contract. But yeah, she was filmed and taken pictures of, and those photos I believe are still up. And there's this other person's name, and if I do mention this person's name, please bleep it out, but pretty well known in the industry, Utah. He shot this boudoir shoot with someone, and those photos were never posted by the model. It was strictly like for her. Right. And those photos ended up on a porn site, and with a couple others. And so she was like, I haven't posted it. I did what I needed to make sure my phone wasn't hacked. Like, those photos haven't gone anywhere past me. And so it's a whole court case right now, like currently, because, and she had signed something keeping herself safe. She's a very smart model, but those photos ended out there, and they've been up for months, and like, it's the internet. You can delete it, but is it gone? No.
Right.
So that's like another horror story, is that they're like have this court case against him, and it turns out like he did sell them, and like he just didn't think they would end up on such a more common porn website. So those are kind of the horror stories.
Wow.
I've definitely had kind of my own almost horror story. I don't know if you've seen, but I do this thing where if I'm modeling with a paintbrush and paint, I'll lick it. I won't eat it, but just a cool like tongue licking a paintbrush photo. And the bottle, I've done it multiple times. I haven't posted the one where this happened, because 2 times I did it with a black light and then orange shoot, successful, incredible, just wiped it off my tongue. There's another time where I did that and the photographer's like, it's non-toxic, like you're okay to do that, whatever. And that bitch lied, and it was bad. I got really sick after.
Right.
Like,
did you have to get like your stomach pumped?
No, luckily it didn't. So, and this was like freaking ever ago, but poison control, we had to call them. They're like, you're okay, like just lots of water, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, and like I'm pretty big on the photos that I post on my portfolio are with photographers I trust. So if I have a bad experience, even if I love those photos, they're not going to get posted, because I'm not going to like hype that person up and like basically recommend them. So no one's ever seen those photos, because then like very quickly I like realized that like something's wrong, like it started to burn, you know what I mean? So if you lick non-toxic paint, it just tastes nasty. But luckily I was able to do another tongue licking paint photo, and it was bomb. But yeah, that's another horror story. I just licked like toxic paint.
Oh my gosh.
After hearing all those like horror stories, do you try to stay pretty not toxic, what was I gonna say? Cautious.
Toxic. Cautious.
Like, do you check for two-way mirrors and things like that? Because that's got to be exhausting, like looking for secret cameras and corners. And
I do. If your finger, if it touches no space, leave this place, is like the motto. So yeah.
Wait, if your finger,
what do you mean? When you touch a mirror, if you touch a normal mirror, there'll be a gap. If it touches, there's I could have this backwards, pressure, you know. But if it touches, that's a two-way mirror. So I will, even if I stay in hotel rooms, because scary, life is scary, I'll test it. But if I change somewhere, I am like definitely doing my due diligence. I will look around for those cameras, or I will change in ways. Being a dancer, you're really good at changing like on the spot like that with people around you. So I'm really good at changing with like nothing showing, so like undershirts and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, no, you have to like look for those things. And then if you're shooting outside, like I said, I like to bring trays so you can be aware of the surroundings so that I can do what I need to. But you have to be so aware, because it could just be one camera you miss and your life's ruined. Because with like OnlyFans, businesses will look you up and see if you're doing that, because there's that stigma. And so if that stuff ends up out there, even if it's not your own accord, that can still hurt you. So yeah, it's a lot of like looking for hidden cameras and stuff. Luckily I surround myself with people I don't feel too much pressure to do that, but yeah, there's
times, yeah, for sure. Especially for new models, it's got to be so.
Yeah.
If there's any scary people that want to be models, if they listen to this, they might not.
They might, yeah.
If
you want to start, like, come to Salt Lake Inspired, let Mama Marin take care of you. But yeah, being a model is incredible. It's so fun. It's like such a creative outlet. But there is so much work that you see that goes on behind the scenes. Like, I am fairly commonly uncomfortable at shoots, in the sense of like what I'm wearing is probably really uncomfortable. I'm never uncomfortable with like the situation. If I am, I'm gone. Right. But it's being a model, people see like the glam side of it, like you get your makeup done, but they don't see the like how exhausting it is. You do need to do your own makeup a lot of times, or like the eating in your car, the being like holding these poses and your back is cramping, but if you fall out of it, you don't get paid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a hard industry. It's so worth it, but you gotta be smart when you're going into it. You gotta set those boundaries and know good people that won't take advantage of you.
For sure.
Just sometimes agencies, which is sad. But yeah, I don't mean to deter anyone. It's incredible, and there is a space for everyone to model nowadays. Like, you don't need to be a certain height. You don't need to have a certain body type. But going into it, you do need to have the thick skin. You do need to have the ability to plan stuff and keep yourself safe and stuff like that. So it's a lot of work. It's worth it. It's a lot of work, though. But yeah, I hope I don't deter anyone. I'm like, here are all the horror stories of like how scary it is. There are good stories. Like, I've met like my soulmates through friends in the industry, like people that like genuinely have changed my life for the better. I've met through this industry. So it's a good thing to be a part of. You just have to be so motherfucking safe about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we got it. Marin, is there? How do you want people to reach out to you?
Oh my gosh, if people wanted to follow my Instagram, that's the best way I can be supported with being a model. If you're a random creepy guy, I probably won't accept you. But like if you, like you said, have the same profile picture as the only photo on your account, you're probably not going to get accepted. But following me on Instagram, and it's just my handle is baby_Burraston, and that's BURRASTON. Or checking out Salt Lake City Inspired, and that's just SLC Inspired. Or my videography, which is Marinator, and that's 2 M's and 2 R's. But that's the best way you can support me, is following my Instagrams.
And if you look at our Instagram, everybody that we've had on a guest, we are following as well. So
this was so fun. I'm like kind of sad it's over. I could literally talk for 5 hours with you guys.
I still have a lot more questions.
I think it's been almost 3 hours. So.
Has it? Well, I'm so sorry. This was so fun.
I don't think so, because she got here like 1.
Yeah, 3:30 like 2.5, right?
Yeah,
2.5.
This was a dream. I literally so much fun.
We'll
have to hang out and like
honestly, yeah. I'd be way down.
Yeah, or like part 2 of a podcast, but
yeah,
this was so much fun.
I have a couple things I want to add before we end.
Oh, okay.
I almost knocked that chair over.
You really had something to add.
Yeah,
like throw a
listen
chair.
to me. But with going back to the porn thing really fast.
Yeah.
Just if anyone's listening out there, especially in Utah, or if you're in a very religious area, like if you look at porn, if you watch porn, nothing's wrong with you.
No,
it's okay.
It's healthy.
And there's studies that came out from BYU actually that show like it's not porn. Like in the Mormon community, there's a lot of like porn will ruin your relationships, it'll ruin your family. And from BYU, it's actually, there's studies that show that it's not porn that harms these relationships. It's religious beliefs in conjunction with porn. Because if you like, if you believe you're influenced by the devil or your spouse is influenced by the devil for watching porn, then of course that's going to ruin a relationship.
Yeah.
So just those that are listening, if you struggle with that, just know it's okay. You're not a bad person.
Watching porn is totally normal, and like with everything, there is like a safe way to do stuff and a bad way to do stuff. So as long as you're safe, like it's normal, it's healthy. Like we're humans.
Yeah.
That's stuff like we like to see and sometimes need to see. Like it's healthy. So if you watch porn, you're normal.
Yeah, that was
we all do.
That was a big thing in high school. Do you remember that? Like we had assemblies, we had people wearing those shirts. What was it?
The new drug.
Porn is the new drug.
Well, and to be fair, porn addiction is a real thing.
For sure.
And it should be taken seriously. I don't mean to discount that.
But if you're 16 and a boy, look at it, you're good. That's my opinion, though.
Yeah. And there's like terrific ways to support people, like OnlyFans. Like, you can get porn for free, but there's like ways that you can literally like be supporting small businesses. Like, porn is good. Like, of course, like if you have an addiction, reach out to people. There's places to help. That's a very like valid thing going on. Get help, but don't feel bad for watching porn, or don't feel bad for if you do shoot boudoir or wanting to. Like, it's incredible. Like, don't be scared to watch porn. It's normal. And if you want to do boudoir, reach out to me. Let's make it happen.
So I have a question. Is it, if you know someone that has an OnlyFans, is it creepy to subscribe or is it flattering?
Okay, if your family...
Oh, family now.
I have a friend that she was like, I think my cousin just paid for my OnlyFans. I'm going to boot him out.
Yeah, you should.
But yeah, it's like...
Make a secret account.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like his full name at gmail.com.
Yeah. Like, she's like, I think I know
his
this
Facebook
person.
profile pictures on his OnlyFans.
But no, it's super flattering. I think I don't have one. I feel like this conversation might make it seem like I have a OnlyFans. I don't. But my friends who do have one, they're like, it's cool when my friends see it, because like, yes, is it a little weird to like to interact with them, but it's like they are paying to support me. Like they could see it for free, but instead they're going through me. So there is a level of like, that's cool, they're supporting me, but also like, okay, next time I see them, I need to be aware that they have seen my, like, hoo-ha or whatever.
Look at that, yeah. Because, I have a friend who was in that situation. She's like, yeah, I knew a girl in high school. And I always thought she was really cute, but I don't know if I should subscribe to her OnlyFans. I was like,
definitely.
Might as well. I mean, even if you're just curious.
For the most part, I've heard it's, like, more of a flattery thing. But, yeah, it's a little awkward when, like, your best friend subscribes, because it's
Right.
like, hey, like, no,
What you doing?
What you doing?
Or like somebody meets you once and then subscribes. I mean, that would be a little like, no.
But yeah, I would imagine there's like kind of a comfort in knowing that they're strangers too. So I feel like it's case to case. But from what I've heard, it's
Right.
more of like a flattering thing. It's like, cool, you want to support my business. It'd be like buying like something from someone that sells like little crystals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're supporting my business.
For sure.
Is it unique? Yes, but you're
Right.
still.
And strangers got to be a little better, right? Because there's always maybe like a
there's,
fear where they could
in,
use
like,
it
not
against
knowing
you.
them. Oh
or,
yeah, and
you
that
know.
is scary. So a really interesting thing, and people who just send nudes to like their spouse or whatever are starting to do it, but watermarking your stuff, but secretively with a date and something unique, and then you can file them so that if that gets leaked, you can refer back to the watermark and who was sent that. And OnlyFans, basically everyone on OnlyFans does that.
Yeah,
and
OnlyFans is really good at like anything
OnlyFans
that pops
will
up on
back you
Reddit
up.
that was OnlyFans, it gets taken down like immediately.
How do
OnlyFans
they
is
do that?
incredible.
How do they monitor that?
Right? I think that's crazy. But yeah, like there's no way of getting around it other than that paywall, pretty much.
OnlyFans is that company is prepared to like fight for their users.
That's
really
really cool.
awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Even
so they
someone
watermark their stuff. So if you leak someone's nude, chances are they will have it watermarked. If you send nudes, watermark them. And yeah, you can go to jail for that easy. Because if just that one watermark and proof and having that filing system is boom, proof right there of revenge porn.
Even someone as big as Belle Delphine, who is like what? It was like 1.5 million subscribers on OnlyFans, something nuts. Like you just can't find her stuff, and it's like really. Like what if like 30,000 people posted at the same time? Like nope, just gets shut down. And like what do they take? Like 20%? It's got to be way worth it for people like Belle Delphine or whatever. Like
it's
that's crazy.
They lock that ish down.
They
for
lock
sure.
it. They
and that's
lock
why
it
it's
down.
like so popular. I know OnlyFans had some issues back with Bella Thorne. I don't know if you guys heard about that. So Bella Thorne has an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And you can do this like thing where she promoted this picture. It was supposed to be very sexual, right? And so people paid like $200 for it, right? And then the photo was not in fact that. So a mass amount of people wanted a refund.
I've heard of that.
So OnlyFans put a cap on those, so you can only do $50. But a lot of times that was people's main income. So OnlyFans was under a bunch of controversy. But from what I'm aware, from people who use it, OnlyFans has been trying to like make it user friendly because they don't want to lose their users.
Yeah,
they don't want to fuck anyone over. $200 for not even a nude. Man, that's got to be intense.
Yeah, they don't want their users to leave, so they do pretty good about like backing them up. There's a reason why it's like so successful.
Right.
And then I do have some friends that are singers and they have an OnlyFans, but they just do like singing videos, so it can be like non-sexual. Which
I
is
thought you
cool.
said seniors, like high school.
Oh,
I was like,
Lord, no. No singers.
that's not a good idea.
No minors here, no. Okay. But yeah, singers. So you can have OnlyFans. It's not sexual, but and if that gets leaked, like that's not the worst thing. But OnlyFans will still come and fight for you because it's still like copyrighted.
That's cool.
Content, which is cool.
For sure.
But yeah, there's definitely. I love coaching boudoir, but OnlyFans, there is money in that for sure. Yeah, my rates go up so much for OnlyFans just because like you are using that for your business. But I highly recommend everyone to shoot boudoir. Maybe not porn, but shoot boudoir. Everyone can do it, and there's not a bunch of like backlash from it because it's being more normalized for sure. Like my boss literally sees my boudoir post and she's like, hell yeah, like I want to do that too. So it's being more normal, which is really exciting. But I've actually had people be like, when are you getting an OnlyFans? And I was like, I respect it, but not for me. I'm so sorry. And I'm just waiting for the day someone makes a fake OnlyFans because that happens to so many people. Like I said, my friend is literally just dealing with that right now. His kind of sexual photos got turned into OnlyFans.
Have you had fake Instagram accounts?
I haven't, but I know a lot of people that they get harassed like crazy. Like I feel like it's like once a week I'm reporting an account for someone so that they just pretend to be someone else. Or like a Tinder profile will be them. They're like, that's not me.
Yeah. I had a friend who had like 10,000 followers on TikTok, which is like, that's a lot, but for TikTok, really not. And somebody opened one up that was just like him, and it was like the same username with like a period at the end.
What the heck?
It's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you trying to gain
Why do you
from
have
this?
such energy to do that?
Right.
So funny thing about TikTok is so I post my photo shoots content right there.
Yeah.
Obviously, like that's a good place. I posted one video about cottagecore, and I was sucked into the community. So my TikTok is literally just dark cottagecore, and like it's the most random thing about me.
What is cottagecore?
Cottagecore is like the stuff where like picnics, like you're living in cottage, like farm life, that kind of stuff. Like and then dark is like the more gothic version of that. So I posted like aesthetic video, and I got like 78K views on it, and so I was like,
yeah, I saw one of your TikToks.
Here I am.
This is my life now.
Dark cottagecore TikTok, even though I live in a city. I love that aesthetic. It's incredible. But my TikTok, I got sucked into a community that I didn't think. But I have a friend that she is like almost, I think a couple million Marina photo, and like she's a god with that. So TikTok can be such a good app to get you out there. And then sometimes you just get sucked into a wormhole that you did not expect to go down.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible people, but I'm not meant to be there.
Yeah, I'm not even like much of an anime guy, but I've gotten super sucked into anime TikTok. 'Cause
Yeah.
some of those are really good, like just like the little clips that they post. And now hashtag anime is big on my thing, and I've seen like maybe 2 animes in my
Anime's
entire
great.
life. Arza loves
We love
anime.
it.
Big anime boy.
He's a weeb.
I love that. Oh my gosh, anime. I'm like a baby with it, but like, I don't. Howl's Moving Castle has like my entire motherfucking
good.
soul.
So good.
Never even heard of that one.
It's a Miyazaki film.
Oh yeah, I heard the Miyazaki films were good.
You're really good.
Like Po, is that one? Or Pojo?
Ponyo?
The Ponyo.
You know,
The fish one.
just a bunch of letters, right?
Yes, and then of course there's like the classic Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Which, my next upcoming tattoo is the little like coal fairies, which that shit's gonna hurt. But, yeah, God, I love those kind of movies. But yeah, TikTok. Have you guys heard of like straight TikTok versus like not straight TikTok?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
TikTok will every so often adjust their algorithm, so everyone will get fed straight TikTok. And if you're violently not on straight TikTok like me, like all of a sudden you're to see like the dumbest videos. Sorry, hating on straight TikTok right now. That happened like 3 days ago, and it was like everywhere. Everyone's like, "What's with my algorithm?" So sometimes you can get sucked into the weirdest algorithms on TikTok. I'm currently on frog TikTok, which is incredible. I feel so at home.
Frog TikTok.
I'm on communist TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, I literally am.
I
kind of love it, honestly.
Oh my god.
There's like snail TikTok. I see a ton. Birds. I love birds. Like, and TikTok knows it. Like that all like because
So birds, communism,
Yeah.
frogs.
Yeah, exactly. I just love watching birds dance and like those videos to music. They're great dancers. They're so silly to watch.
Wait, do they actually dance?
Dude, you should, okay. Anybody who's listening, look up YouTube videos of birds dancing to music. They dance to the beat and they are so good at dancing.
What did they
and
like?
they're
Were
so
they just like
silly.
moving and then they add music in after?
No.
What
they
the
like
freak?
like birds
That's
dance.
crazy.
Like that's a big thing with birds. Right?
No, only humans like music.
No.
I know.
That's so funny. Oh, I love all the things we've talked about. Like I said, I literally could just sit here and talk forever. I feel so at home here.
Look at that. Well, we try. This is my home, so I feel at home here too.
It's nice. You have a nice place. That's
thank
for sure.
you. Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah, sprayed all the Febreze like I usually do. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so at home.
And if anyone else is wanting to come see his house and
Nope.
as interesting as Marin,
then
then reach out to us about being on Mike Down Podcast.
You were just
And
giving
his-
out my address right there.
His address is no, I'm just kidding.
13.
I appreciate you said as interesting as Marin. Y'all got competition. I'm just kidding.
Honestly, yeah.
Bars being set higher and higher every time.
I try. I'm the first girl on your podcast, right? Or have you filmed with someone?
Yeah,
since
due
that?
to Women's History Month, we decided it was fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
was hoping I was
we'll
the
have to
first
wait
one,
until
girl.
next year to have
next
another.
year, next Women's History Month.
Hell yeah. Okay.
We'll have Marin on.
No,
for sure.
tried to have
Be a
another.
reunion.
We tried to get another lady that has a bakery and works with prisoners a lot, but
Wow,
she's
cool.
not responding now. So
what the hell?
we don't know if we'll get her or not.
Damn.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize that you were the first girl we had on the podcast.
I actually
until a
realized
couple
that
days
today.
ago.
Yeah, I feel so honored.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure, but yeah, I just like, because girls are always like stereotyped, like, oh, we talk so much, right? But I'm like, man, I really do though.
I talk way too much as well.
Oh my
So I
God.
mean,
We all
ours
talk a lot, yeah.
and I have big personalities, and that's why we're like, this is why we're gonna start a podcast.
Yeah,
like, let's just do
genius.
it. So
I will say, earlier you mentioned like being vain and stuff like that. I don't know your definition of vain, but to me, it just comes across as like very self-confident.
Oh, thank
and
you.
I think that is like something that
Assertiveness,
everyone can learn more
For
of,
sure,
Is
yeah.
just being more confident in yourself and who you
blushing.
are and what you do, and that's something I really admire.
Thank
And,
you. That means a lot that you
yeah.
said that, because yeah, you know, there's the whole thing where like if a girl is like in charge, she gets called a bitch, whereas if
Yeah.
a guy is, they're like
A
boss,
leader.
You know what I mean?
no, for sure.
So I appreciate that, like, you applaud me for the way that I am instead of like so commonly get belittled. or
I didn't say I
whatever.
like it.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I actually think I literally did say I like
you
it.
did. I mean, everybody needs confidence.
I
That's the
appreciate
thing.
the compliment for
And
sure. It means a lot to me.
And yeah, I do feel like a lot of women are kind of conditioned to think that just because they're confident in themselves means they're bitchy, and that's just not the case in any scenario.
I feel like it's society in general. It's like if you like, I mean, I think it's amplified for women for sure. But like, you know, if someone is a lot of times confident and cockiness and like arrogance get misconstrued.
Yeah.
I think, and like self confidence being like, oh, like, you know, like I am good looking, or I am good at this, or stuff like that. People are like, oh, that guy is being cocky, or that.
Unless you're ugly, then they'll totally be like, no, you are good looking. You're I feel like that's kind of where it's at. But yeah, like Janae, I mean, she like used to be like shift leads at places, or she used to be just over people where she was, and there would be tons of guys that would be like, I'm not working for a woman, and it's like, holy crap, people still have those ideals. That's nuts.
Small dick energy again.
Exactly.
Honestly,
small dick energy. But yeah, I have so with Galaxy Inspired, I put myself in in that position a lot. Luckily, I haven't had anyone, although I think they're pretty scared to say it to me while I have a 6'6" giant behind me. But luckily, I haven't had anyone to my face say anything, because they just get kicked out. But I've definitely heard the things being said about my back, that I am the bitchy girl that's in charge or whatever. And I'm like, that's fine. I have the confidence where it's I like to be in charge, and that's okay. So if you're a gal and you like to be in charge,
do it.
For sure. And you got to remember, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, you walk into a room and just assume two people hate you. I mean, it's just what's going to happen. It doesn't matter how awesome of a person you are. There's going to be people that that hate you for literally no reason.
Yeah.
True.
I saw this quote once that I really liked, and it was saying they will like me is arrogance. Saying I'll be fine if they don't is self-confidence.
Yes, I love that.
And it's like what you're saying. There's going to be people that dislike you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly.
And you got to be okay with that.
Exactly, that's okay.
And I let it fester. I mean, I'm not saying I'm if somebody doesn't like me and I know, I think about it all the time. I'm like, why don't they like me? God damn.
Yeah, it bothers me too sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think obviously it doesn't matter who you are. You're not going to like the fact that some people don't like you. I think I'm better at it than a chunk of people, but yeah, I mean, there's still someone where I'm like, man, I like them. Why don't they like me? That's not
that
cool.
comes into play so big with modeling, because you'll be like, wow, we vibed, and you follow them, and they never follow you back, or they unfollow you, and you're like, why don't you like me? We literally vibed.
Exactly. Yeah, that happens all the time.
I definitely networking at shoots, after you try to be let's follow each other, and then when they don't, it's definitely it's hurtful. It's what the hell?
Yeah, I bet.
Damn. Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to say, Arza?
I've said all my stuff.
Well, thank you very much for listening to us at the Mike at the Helm podcast. Marin, would you like to say anything else?
No, I'm so satisfied. Thanks for having me on and letting me talk about frogs and porn and boudoir.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And my
for
weirdo
coming.
Health thing. That is that too.
No, that's all we wanted was to just have you here and
I can't wait to see what words you pick. Because you do the same matching letter at the beginning. I can't wait to see what words you pick for this one.
Honestly, we can pick any three random words. We did do. This is a long podcast. I'm sure we mentioned something at some point. So
good luck.
Arza, how can they find us at Mike at the Helm?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
No, I do. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok at Mike at the Helm. Or if you want to support us monetarily at all, you can find us at Mike at the Helm, or anchor.fm/Mike at the Helm. Sorry,
there you are.
I kind of.
And we're also thinking about starting a little segment. Let us know if you like it. Once again, we don't get a ton of comments, but maybe comment this time. We are thinking about doing posting YouTube videos and under the name Driving Around, and it's just Arza and I doing a little more of a casual conversation than guests. But we'll see. If you hate it, please let us know if you hate that idea.
And if you don't know where to comment, I've heard that from some people that listen, that they don't know where to comment.
Right, because they get a lot more texts about the podcast than comments.
Yeah, so you can, if you know us personally, you can text us individually, or you can message us on Instagram, or put a comment on YouTube, or any of our Instagram posts. We look at all of our Instagram comments. So just wherever you're feeling to contact us, we will see it.
And your guys' OnlyFans are coming soon, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We'll be collaborating with Marin, so be prepared.
The ultimate collab of my entire career.
100%. Sweet. Think we got it?
Yeah.